How's it going, everyone? Welcome to PanGeekery Podcast, a live weekly video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. And we are going to be talking about film, TV, video games, books, movies. I said film already, but I just wanted to double down on that. Covering all the nooks and crannies of fandom. My name is Earl Baylon. I am an actor, improviser, and when I was a kid, I thought chaos was pronounced chaos. Until I was 9.
Oh my God. I did too.
You did too?
I say chaos.
So did I.
Chows.
Yeah, I said chows.
Because I knew people whose last name was Chow.
Chow.
So it's like just Chow.
So it's
You
I'm not the
fob.
only one.
Chows.
Yo, born American citizen, okay? Just let's be clear. Okay, so my name is Jenapher Zheng. I am an actor / writer / immersive theater creator and enthusiast. I love gaming and all that jazz. So when I was little, I thought Egypt was pronounced Iggy Pit.
That's cool.
way worse. That's way worse
Well,
than
I
chaos.
saw it on a sign, and I used to also think that the word reluctant meant you were super willing to do something.
Really?
So the opposite of it.
Wow.
Because I read a lot of books, and I was like, what does that mean? I inferred through the meaning, but turns out it was the opposite.
That's all right. I inferred a lot of things through meaning.
Yeah.
And they were never right.
Oh my goodness. There's another word out there that literally means the same thing and the opposite. I can't remember it right now. But
Aloha?
No. I'll remember it later.
It's very
Throughout
true.
this episode, I'll remember it and then I'll say it like really randomly.
Okay, good.
Anyways, my name
want
is
that.
Kaitlyn, and I am an actor, a singer, a director, and a writer. And when I was reading the Harry Potter novels when they first came out, I thought Hermione was Hermione. So
Yeah,
I know.
we thought too.
It's just phonetic. Hermione.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Or Hermione.
Hermione. It sounds,
Hermione.
I don't know.
My
Hermione.
name is Hermione.
Yeah.
The enemy of the Daleks.
Help you to fight Dark Lord.
So, I know, Walter's not with us right now. He is out of
God.
town. But,
MTC looks good on you, Walter.
damn.
She said it, not me.
kidding.
We will
We
have
love
a
Walter.
special
We
guest
love
later to fill the seat for a little bit. But
Yes.
first of all, how's everybody doing this week?
I'm doing all right. We are currently in pre-production hell for my film. We are doing the film this weekend. So Friday is our first day of filming, and we wrap on Memorial Day.
Exciting.
So
And I'm in it.
And that's right, Jen's in it. She plays one of the characters.
Yeah.
So, and we just had a rehearsal before we got here, didn't we? So,
What's it called and what's it about?
Oh, the movie is called Fruit Fly, and if you are in the LA area, I could use you as an extra. Come hit me up. Slide into
This
my
is an
DMs.
open casting call.
Yes,
Right.
it's all an open invitation to slide into my DMs.
Wow.
See you there.
Dang.
It's very,
Yo.
very open.
Yeah, very.
Who needs Tinder when you have
I mean,
just
when you have
DMs?
Kaitlyn's
DMs.
DMs to
Yeah,
slide
exactly.
into, to slip into,
Just slither in.
to slither, slip,
Hermia
and
one.
slide.
So many thoughts right
Anyway.
here.
So I've been in rehearsal for this really large performance art piece that's going up at Disney Hall, actually.
Nice.
It's called Crowd Out, and it's performed by 1,000 people. I'm like one of 25 from this one theater group that my friend invited me to. So basically, the whole performance taking place on June 1st is about a large group of people enacting and saying and vocalizing and singing the thoughts and feelings of being in a crowd. So whether or not that makes you relaxed or makes you excited, makes you like anxious, makes
Interesting.
you whatever. So we like sing sometimes in unison, sometimes in tandem, sometimes in rounds, and sometimes we speak. And it's interesting. It's very like heady, and it's actually kind of cool to hear like a huge auditorium of people like do things in unison.
Right.
But yeah, so I've been doing that. If you want to check it
When's
out.
that happening?
It's on June 1st. It's part of a festival that Disney Hall is happening and is having, and we are the first show that's going up, and it's called Crowd Out.
Oh, very
Crowd
cool.
Out.
Yeah,
I'll
Crowd
look it up.
Out.
So, out of all those hundreds, out of that crowd of 100, is anyone gonna see you? Are you gonna stick out in any way? Or
Not except for like the people sitting next to me. So the thing is, the performers are integrated amongst the audience, so you don't really know who's a
that's
performer
cool.
until like it happens.
so meta.
I know.
Meta. It's very meta.
Secret
Meta.
audience members.
It's
Love
pretty cool.
it.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Sexy.
Like it's like an entire room full of rebel spies. You just don't know who.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like on Star Tours.
Captain, my captain.
Well, anyway, I've been again in rehearsals for supportive rehearsals for Star Wars I forgot what my show is called now. Supportive White Parents, which is a 30-minute musical that I am in. We have a show this Thursday at UCB Franklin, so there's that. And this past Sunday, I got a chance to sit in with the Tomb Raider marathon. Their stream, shout out to Tomb Raider marathon guys, raising money for charity. So I sat in on the stream and answered questions for a few hours, which was fun. Thank you guys for having me. But that's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, that is after this release. Well, before we go on, I just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors, Jimmy John's, and their $10 box lunch. Amazing. It takes a freak to make a sandwich that'll make you freak. It says so on the cup. And thank you to our location sponsors, Filipino Worker Center. Thank you for being awesome. Yes, those are our sponsors. Next up, the chat. I have my chat window here up for Twitch. If anybody has any questions. If anybody has any, I have not been getting sleep.
Go drunk, Earl, you're home.
I am go drunk. You're home. Is that what you said?
Go drunk, Earl, you're home.
I haven't been sleeping lately. Just hit up. God damn it! Hit us up in Twitch chat, and we will hopefully get to your question and or comment. Because we're going to be talking a lot about stuff. Right. But today, we're going to be talking about a few things. One, news from the geek universe. Two, we have a special guest, Nicki Sun. Yay! We're going to bring her up in a little bit. And then after that, we are going to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6. The finale, a.k.a. the Iron Throne. And we're going to talk about everything that entails.
Ooh,
so first off, some news from the geek universe, like I said. Robert Pattinson has been cast as the new Bruce Wayne for the next series of Batman movies.
Shiny boy.
Yes.
Glittery shiny
Made
boy.
of diamonds.
Yes.
Made of diamonds.
Skin made
So,
of alabaster
the thing
granite
is-
marble. Oh, sorry. Like legit.
Are you quoting the
that's-
book?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like they're the vampires
So
in
you're a fan.
Twilight.
Is what that one says. Skin
we'll
like
get to that.
alabaster marble.
We'll get to that, kiddies.
Wait, have you read them?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I've read the first book.
I read the first one.
Oh,
I
okay.
tried
Just
to get through the second, and each day I made a challenge. I said, you will read one paragraph of New Moon.
Why would you do that? It's not even nutritious. Like, why even force it
Because
down
I
your
wanted to
throat?
challenge
I know.
myself. And each day I would give up after 2 sentences and say, I can't do this.
Dude,
it was that bad.
I skimmed
Oh, you
through the
skimmed
first
it.
book because I was like, this is such...
Oh, no, I read the first book. I wanted to see what the
Really?
big deal was.
Yeah, I wanted to see like what everybody was making a fuss about.
Yeah.
So are we talking about it?
Yeah,
We
of
are.
course. Yeah.
Who's
Okay.
going first? Oh, you are.
Oh, no, I'm just jumping in there. So I've been told that Robert Pattinson is actually a much better actor than we know.
Oh, he's
wanted
actually
to
great.
believe
So.
since Twilight.
Have you
He's
seen-
actually done a lot of
Right.
things. in
Wasn't he
between.
Dali in this one film? He played like
Salvador
Salvador
Dali?
Dali. Yeah, I think.
I saw him in like Water for Elephants.
How was
That's
that? With
And-
Reese Witherspoon?
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he was great in it. So, I mean, like, and look, historically, people have always been, poo-pooing about whoever they cast for, for especially
Always.
these big, giant, like, roles.
course.
Right.
And I don't know. I think he's got it.
Yeah.
I think he can do the job.
I think he tried to break out of that Twilight teeny bopper teen idol mold
Right.
after like the
Almost
the
as
last
soon as he
decade.
dropped.
And
yeah.
Harry Potter.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Cedric
Harry Potter.
Diggory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cedric.
My
That's right.
boy.
Yes.
Hufflepuff represent.
Cedric. That's how I
Yeah.
first know him because
Yeah.
He's a Hufflepuff, too.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they had just announced the casting for the 4th movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is Victor Crumb hotter than Cedric,
Cedric
Diggory?
Diggory?
I thought I was a Victor
In that
Crumb
voice.
chick. Yeah.
Right.
But I developed a really big crush on Robert Pattinson, and he immediately after Twilight started going for more serious
Right.
Oscar-worthy type roles.
Yeah.
He was in, I think, like The Dictator or something, which is this dark kind of look into some kind of like hypothetical unnamed dictator that came out like a year or two ago.
Oh, really?
And, yes, and fun fact for you. Don't ask me how I know this, but there's this one movie that Robert Pattinson did. Maybe some of you guys remember the name. I can't remember, but apparently he's a method actor because there was, okay, I'll just say it. He was in this one scene where he's supposed to be masturbating. And he was like, you
I
know
love
what?
that's where we that's where we draw the line. The word masturbating.
Well, he's rubbing one out, and he's supposed to arrive somewhere, and he's like, "There's no way." He said,
What a eulogy.
Look, I'm hyping him up for our fans.
Okay.
Apparently, he was like, "There's no way I can fake that. I'm just gonna really do it in real life." So he was actually rubbing one out, and it happened, and they filmed it, and it made it into the movie.
Wow.
That's how serious our Batman is.
There's
All hail
no
Batman.
way I can fake that, is what he said.
I know.
Said no woman ever.
So
I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
was that Rodney?
So you're saying he's gonna masturbate his back?
I'm saying he's gonna
I'm
method.
hoping. I'm saying I hope he
He's
does.
going method.
He's gonna masturbate.
Oh, he's gonna masturbate.
Masturbating.
Did you guys hear that?
Oh my
Someone on the
gosh.
crew just said he's gonna masturbate.
I'm going to credit that to
clever,
Arnold. Arnold
No,
Basingat said that.
Yeah.
That was okay. Yeah, so he has been trying
Right.
really hard to shed that teeny bopper
Absolutely.
Title.
Yeah.
And I think that happens just with a lot of child stars. Once they get
think so
first
too,
their
yeah.
initial thing that makes them famous, they're just like, oh, we got to drop this and run.
Right.
So-
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this picture today that was like superimposing like all these images of, they didn't think that Heath Ledger would be a good Joker.
Right.
They didn't
I remember
think
that
Gal
being really
Gadot
random.
Yeah.
would be a good Wonder Woman, you
Right.
know.
Right. I
So
mean,
but they all did really great.
they all did really well. They all
they
surpassed
did.
expectations.
Now some people have not done as well.
Are you talking Affleck?
But I haven't seen that, so I can't judge. I've just
You haven't seen it.
well, I've just
Wow.
been basing this off of what I've heard
On the
repeatedly
zeitgeist.
again.
Right,
the
right.
zeitgeist, yes.
Gotcha.
So that's happening.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it.
Here we are.
Yeah, I think.
Edward
Yeah, I'm
playing
looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes.
Batman.
Next up, his Dark Materials trailer. Kaitlyn.
Dark Materials. So there was this book series that came out when I was a kid, and it was supposed to be really fantastical and well written, but also kind of racy because it was like anti-religion. Yeah. But strangely enough, some of my most religious friends were like
Right.
obsessed with it.
I
They were
wonder
like,
why.
it's so because it was
Escapism?
consciously subversive, but that was
Right.
kind of
The thing.
that was kind of the thing, yeah.
Right.
So basically, there was a 2007 film called The Golden Compass,
That's
which
right.
came out, and Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman were in it. It made a ton of money, but not as much as they were hoping to propel them into finishing the trilogy. So HBO has picked up the series, and it's coming out soon-ish. I had this information on my phone, but I forgot it in the back.
Actually,
so yeah.
this is really interesting.
Yeah.
That HBO is coming out with it because didn't it used to be like a YA novel type scenario?
They were children's novels.
Yeah.
Right.
They were children's novels. The 2007 movie had a bit more of a Stardust type feel. It was a bit more fantastical, super high budget, looked really good, still holds up. But the HBO series now it looks a little more grounded in reality, a little more gritty,
Yeah.
a little more HBO-y, if you will.
Right.
And yet, there are certain elements that are still kind of childlike. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
So it's like, are they trying to move towards like different audiences apart from just like
I think
adults?
so. I think so.
Yeah.
They've got James McAvoy
Right. I saw that.
and Ruth Wilson. And then the dude from Game of Thrones, J.R. Mormont.
James Cosmo?
Or-
James Cosmo?
Sure.
Yeah.
The old bear, right? Old bear. Mormont.
Yeah, the old
Aha.
bear. So that show is about it kind of takes place in a parallel universe,
Okay.
and it stars this young girl named Lyra Balakwa, who is
Lara.
it's a cool name.
Lara.
Lyra, not
Oh,
Lara. Yeah,
sorry.
Lyra.
I hear that
And
name a lot for some
She's
reason.
raised by these like Oxfordian type scholars.
Right.
So it's a parallel universe where if maybe some major country had won a different war, the map would be named differently.
So it's kind of like Man in the
Yeah,
High Castle.
I was gonna
kind
say
of,
that.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
but more fantastical. There's definitely fantasy in it, but if you look at the map, they have there's like references to our world. So the idea behind this world is that this world coexists in tandem with many parallel universes, including our own.
So
So
it's
it's
a
like a
multiverse.
many-verse.
Yes, it's a multiverse
Metaverse
theory.
theory.
Yeah.
Like,
so
All of comics.
Like
Yes.
Bioshock Infinite.
Yes.
Oh, Bioshock Infinite.
Yes.
Yeah. Rapture.
Yes, exactly.
What?
So this is just one world in a plethora of different universes existing in tandem with one another, and basically, without going too much into it, it is anti-religion, pro-enlightenment, pro-rationalism,
Right.
wrapped up in a kitty caboodle.
Well,
I'm sold.
That sounds like fitting fare for HBO, actually.
It
so,
is exactly. Yeah.
That
So-
yeah, it sounds exciting. When it drops, I'm probably gonna re-up on some
read
HBO.
up, yeah.
So, well, we talked about Batman earlier, and now we're talking about Batwoman, Jen.
Hey.
Whoa, hey. Okay, so Ruby Rose stars as Batwoman. So as we all know, there was a lot of I don't know, the pushback from the internet community because people like to just hate on whatever is new and representational and diverse. But Ruby Rose, as you know, is a queer woman, and she is gorgeous, and she is playing Batwoman in the new CW Batwoman series.
Which we just watched the trailer for.
Yes, we just watched the trailer. So my initial thoughts on the trailer are, well, that's a lot of ham.
Do tell.
It seems like the script is kind of veering towards being more campy versus,
Are you saying that CW is campy?
you know,
How dare you?
Jen, they could be
yeah.
our sponsor soon.
no, you know, I mean, like campy could be a good thing.
Yeah,
so I
camp
don't
is
really,
not
be,
necessarily
I can't
bad.
really
yeah.
tell yet. You know, but
Willow is super campy.
seems like they're going in that direction. Batwoman is lesbian, and she has a lover that who is apparently abducted in some way that
Right.
she has to go save. And this is taking place after the events of Bruce Wayne exiting the picture.
right.
I'm assuming.
The character is Bruce Wayne's cousin.
Gotcha.
So, and she stumbles.
Batwoman is Bruce Wayne's cousin?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then she stumbles upon the Batcave inadvertently. Well,
Right.
kind of purposefully, but it wasn't meant to be found. So
Right,
that's how she assumes
the
the
suit.
mantle. Right. That's how she assumes the cowl.
The suit actually doesn't largely look feminized in any way. It just seems
Right.
as if she
I
slapped it
noticed
on.
that. They weren't trying to emphasize her mountainous boobs or buttocks.
Which happens in a lot of other fantasy armor.
Oh,
right? You have the
absolutely.
boob armor,
Yeah.
which would crack your sternum if you ever got hit.
Well,
Yeah.
usually I think in a lot of comic universe type shows, they try to take heroines and put them in spandex and really
Right.
Oh, yeah.
emphasize the bosoms
I've never
and the
noticed.
bums.
Yeah.
You've never noticed?
I'm just kidding. I notice all the
Did you
time.
actually
No, I was going to say, Earl, how very, woke of you
yeah, so
to
woke
not
of you.
notice these mountainous bosoms.
Is it
Oh
woke or
my.
is it just something else? I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, so she cuts a nice figure. I do agree.
Yeah.
Judging from that trailer, it felt a bit CWE, but we'll have to find out, right?
Yeah, we'll find out.
I think it fits in with the rest of the CW slate. So, tonal wise,
Riverdale,
yeah, and all that.
Sorry,
Riverdale
Jen.
is
Riverdale.
which is what I'm saying. It could
Well,
be
like
good.
Flash and all that other stuff. But enough of Batwoman. We're moving on to Minecraft Earth.
Yay!
Oh man. So Minecraft Earth is a new AR game for mobile that is being. I don't know who's developing it. Actually, it's not Niantic. It's probably Microsoft, is what I was reading earlier. Actually, so it's basically Minecraft in the real world. Minecraft meets Pokemon Go, which is super interesting. I don't know if they mentioned a price point yet, or if it's free to play. It says it's free to play right here. Shut up, Earl. And but it looks super interesting. Did you guys see the trailer?
Yeah, I just saw the
I
trailer.
did not get to see it.
was
So
playing-
you guys are gonna have to describe it to me.
No, it's all good. I mean, essentially, Earl was saying that it's somewhat like Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
The premise of Minecraft is just going out into the world, finding materials, hitting a tree until you get
And
a certain
building.
Resources,
resource,
yeah.
and then you build houses and whatnot to
Fun.
defend yourself from the little monsters that come at night. So I'm assuming because Microsoft is the one making this, they moved on from the HoloLens
Right.
thing that they were making with Minecraft and translating it to this, which I think is a good idea because it's more accessible to children. Like,
Right.
not everyone
Has a HoloLens.
Not everyone has a HoloLens.
Right.
Nor are they like selling this like, they're pretty expensive, right?
Right. Just to
Yeah.
clarify, the HoloLens is like their version of like Google Glass. It's like an AR headset that you
Right.
can, where it projects things onto your or you can see things in augmented reality.
Yeah.
So digital things being projected upon the real world.
I mean, the demonstration looked really nice. I was really impressed by that, but it's, again, not all of us get access to that, so it's nice that we're going to have this.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'll definitely install it. It's been a while since I played Pokemon Go, so
I know.
I think it's
I
been a
got
while
sick
for all of
Pokemon
us.
Go.
The popularity skyrocketed, and then it went. Whoosh.
oh my
It
gosh,
was like Bitcoin.
yeah.
Yeah.
That year that Pokemon Go came out, that year at Comic-Con was insane.
Really?
There's there's so many people going around. I was playing like on the bus, like to and from con.
Yeah.
But everybody was. The cell towers were.
Was everyone like bumping into each other because they were just like.
Yeah, there was.
excuse
There was like, excuse me, I gotta get my Pikachu.
Spin
Yeah.
and get my Pokeballs.
You know,
That's what I sounded like for some reason.
for me, Gandalf. What are you doing here?
What are you doing?
Wizard is never late.
God damn
No,
it,
but
Earl.
I just remember thinking like, so how do we win this game? And people were like, you don't. There is no way to win. You just keep playing. I was like, then why the fuck are we doing this?
Yes,
It's like
yes,
D&D.
exactly. That's why I
Or World of
don't-
Warcraft. You just don't
care.
win.
Warcraft?
Warcraft.
Dear Jesus, Earl.
World of Warcraft.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was that.
I'm looking forward to kids like randomly walking up to like trees on the sidewalk and just going like twack, twack, twack.
You said twat, twat,
Twack,
twat.
twack, twack, twack. Though I guess like the actions are performed on your phone, right?
Oh,
like
so
not
you don't
in
actually
real
have to
life.
do this.
Right, right.
Like-
Whoa. So
Like
generous.
I know.
Yeah.
You
Masturbating.
don't have to
the tree.
masturbate.
We don't need to masturbat any trees.
Glad we're late.
Stop
night
it,
show.
Robert Pattinson. No one wants to see that.
I mean, a few other trailers did drop earlier today, or earlier this week too. We got a Westworld trailer, right? Season
Yeah.
3.
We did.
And then,
which looked nothing like Westworld.
Kind of confusing, right?
Yeah, I like the whole time I was like, did I click on the right trailer?
But we're not up to date.
No, we're not. But someone is.
Yeah.
Oh, that someone is me. So I really loved season 1.
Right.
And season 2 disappointed me so much.
Like Game of Thrones
Yeah.
disappoint or like
Actually,
Yeah,
similarly.
like- yeah.
Wow.
Similarly, because it went off
because
the
the
rails.
first one was perfect. It was
Right,
a
right.
masterpiece.
I actually
yeah.
think that the first one was constructed assuming that maybe they weren't going to get renewed.
Yeah, yeah.
So they wove themselves into a knot and had
Got
a
it.
really
Perfect. You don't have to
really
go
like
more.
poignant ending that
Yeah.
didn't need to continue past that. So then the second season went into like opening up a lot of like without giving away any spoilers really.
Right.
It just opened up a lot of different cans that could have been closed already and then took these really deep characters and ironed them out so that they were just like skeletons and shards of what we know them to be without like really growing them or transforming them. So I guess it is kind of similar to what I'm going to say about
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. But
So,
yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Also, our guest host, Nikki, has not caught up on Game of
So
Thrones. So
we're
not gonna
avoiding spoilers.
delve into that.
Try not to step on
before
mines right
she
now.
comes on the show.
She's not here
But
yet.
we will talk about it later.
From the chat, thank you, Quasi Word. Minecraft Earth is being developed by Mojang. So yeah,
thanks,
Mojang.
Mojang.
Yeah. I know,
We're not
thanks,
actually
Mojang.
talking about this. No, yeah.
You want speaking terms
Thanks,
with
Mojang.
Thanks, Mojang.
Thanks, Mojang. But there was also that Stranger Things trailer or the teaser that dropped.
Yes.
And
Billy is seducing Mike's mom?
yeah, she was totally into him at the end.
They
of,
were already
right.
having like a flirtation.
Yeah,
It's
at
like
the
some
end of
yeah.
season
Mrs.
2.
Robinson
That's right.
shit.
Right,
Because I
absolutely.
finished
Mrs. Robinson.
the second
Yeah.
season.
You did? You didn't.
I had like a few more episodes to go. It's okay.
Yeah, you gotta see it.
I had like
You
2
gotta
more
see it.
episodes and then I'll be finished.
It's really,
I
really
was
good.
really enjoying it.
Nice.
It's
Billy looked
quite
sexy.
Right.
Billy is great. He's a really good actor. Have you seen
Yeah.
his audition?
The audition
You
tape
told
was
me his
amazing.
tape was amazing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Oh
great.
my God.
I gotta see
it was
it.
chilling.
I was like,
Yeah.
I wish I could put it down on an audition like that. That's nuts.
I'm sure he's like
But you
really
can't,
nice
Earl. I
in
know.
person. I'm sure he's a nice
all
guy
right.
in person, but he plays an asshole so well.
He's also got that
Dear
like
God.
pretty douchebag face.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Like Gaston, you know?
No. One.
Yeah.
Lights like Gaston. No one lights
That was my fault.
Gaston. Anyway.
Anyway,
Our final item is a Black Mirror trailer dropped. That's it. Well,
I
like the
love
other ones.
Black Mirror. The
So did I.
last season, I was like, I liked Bandersnatch. I know
I
a lot of
hated
people hated
Bandersnatch.
it.
I didn't hate it.
I mean, it didn't have the most satisfying endings
Right.
for me, but I liked what they were trying to do. And this latest season, I don't know if you guys watched the trailers.
Right.
As with all Black Mirror trailers, it's kind of impossible to know exactly what's
exactly is
going to
going on,
happen.
right?
One of them has Miley Cyrus. She seems to
As
be
a
some
pop
kind
star.
of pop star who infuses her consciousness into like a little
Little
an
chibi
avatar.
doll?
Yeah. And then
looks like a pop. What are these called? Pop
like
figurines.
like a Funko Pop.
Funko Pop.
It's like
yeah.
a Funko Pop. And then there's another one featuring like a mostly African American cast having a barbecue, and then there's
Right.
some kind of like cat on a hot tin roof type tension going on. I don't know.
Right.
And then the third one has
Brick.
has Moriarty from Sherlock looking
yeah.
The
psycho.
actor Moriarty?
That's
The actor
right.
Moriarty from
Oh, nice,
from
nice.
Sherlock, BBC Sherlock.
And
BBC
not
Sherlock.
okay, not Guy Ritchie Sherlock.
Not
No,
Guy
no.
Ritchie Sherlock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Two very
that's all we
different
know.
Moriartys. Yeah.
Who I actually think the guy that played Moriarty in the BBC Sherlock would have
Right.
made an excellent Ramsey.
He's a
He
bit
would've been
older
a
though.
Ramsey
I feel
Bolton.
Ramsey is supposed to
Right.
be younger. Like
He's young. He's pretty young.
no, but like a boy. He's a boy
He's a boy?
bastard. Yeah,
He's
in
a
the book.
boy.
Yeah.
Scheiße.
So
Okay.
but they've both got that crazy eye look down
Right.
pat.
Yeah, they got that.
Must say.
They got that going on.
I know exactly what she's talking about. Without further ado, I would like to bring up our special guest for the episode. Welcome, Nicki Sun. Please join us at the table.
Come on down.
Sir.
Put your name on it. Your name on it. Come and put your name on it.
Yeah.
And it's not even my birthday. All
Can
right,
I bring you everywhere?
Okay. Can we bring you?
It'll be like
everywhere?
Monty
That
Python.
Oh my God. Girls in the
Oh
his
my God.
house. Eh.
I know.
Oh, it's-
You're outnumbered here.
Oh, I know.
Wait,
I
shouldn't
know.
Earl be in the middle so he looks like a Vogan pimp?
Oh no! Hey,
Completely-
Asian girls.
I know.
excuse me. We're the ones in power.
This is true.
Completely antithetical to reality.
Oh my god!
Just to let you
You
know.
mean antithetical?
Yeah. Is,
You said
is that what-
antithetical.
You said antithetical.
I don't know what
I
an
thought
Stop
I
trying to
said
act like you're
antithetical.
smart, Earl. I'm just
Girl
kidding.
game, girl game.
Oh my God.
The Blazers.
We
are
Takes
outnumbered
blows
you.
from all sides.
Oh god!
Okay. Welcome, Nicki. Hi,
Nikki.
Thank you.
Can we
for
say
joining
that
us.
Jen and I actually watched a movie with Nikki last December with a mutual friend and
That's right.
didn't realize it was
We
the
didn't
same
realize
girl.
that.
Oh,
You know, we were
what
like
movie were
trying
you
to
watching?
We
research
watched
you.
Shoplifters,
Which is
Great
yeah, with our
amazing.
with,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Great
Cool.
movie.
Yeah,
And
the Japanese movie.
I remember
right.
you being there and you were wearing a dress and you
Yeah.
were talking to all these boys. And I was like, "Are you an actress?" And she was like, "Yeah, I act." I was like, "Oh, you look like an actress."
That's so funny because I don't act anymore. But yeah,
Oh.
like it's such
Oh.
a juxtaposition. Like I'm such a dude in real life. Like, you know? I mean, like I talk tech.
She's got like eyeshadow and lip
Yeah.
gloss on.
You have a
Hair
really
is
cool
brushed.
shirt. You have the coolest shirt ever. I love this shirt. Oh my gosh.
Yay, welcome. Oh, yes.
Oh, hello.
So Nicki, where are you from originally?
Originally from the Yay area.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
moved down to Los Angeles 6 years ago on April Fool's Day.
Really?
heck
Was there a
Everybody
meaning
thought
to
I
that,
was
or just kind of happened that way?
No, it just happened that way, but everybody thought I was kidding too. So when I did, I was like,
Nice.
Joke's
nice.
on
It's
you.
a joke. Yeah.
What up, fools?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Wait, she's really
awesome.
driving away.
Hang on.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
6 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
We're glad to have
Amazing.
you here.
Well, thank
Yes.
you. It's
We
good
should have
to
bought
be
a
here,
cake.
too.
I know.
Should have bought
Oh.
a cake so you could like.
I mean, we missed the anniversary.
You know.
April Fool's was last month.
Ah, damn it. Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can still have cake.
6.1
There's-
I
anniversary.
love cake.
Yeah, you don't have to have an excuse for cake.
True.
Exactly. The cake
True.
doesn't
Have
need to
it.
be a lie.
But that's why I was singing cake.
Oh my
cake,
gosh,
cake,
Portal.
cake.
I love Portal. I can't believe I played Portal on a MacBook.
Oh
Where,
yeah,
like,
you were just
left
saying that.
and right clicks were just like touches.
Wow.
So imagine the confusion. Anyway.
I couldn't even. I was already confused with the controller. Jeez. And so what got you into entertainment?
Oh gosh, I back in the Bay, I was a producer for Mix TV, which
Okay.
is like the Asian American version of BET, music, lifestyle, and entertainment. I was a show producer there, and then brought a whole bunch of Asian American
Right.
YouTubers and influencers to feel like they were a part of mainstream, right, for once. And then started my own channel, Now You Know, which I interview a lot of up-and-coming, aspiring Asian American and multi-ethnic entertainers.
Right.
And after we all got let go from Mix, because it's easier to pay for a show versus then hire a full house team, right?
Right.
I was like, what do I do now? And I think it's time to move to LA.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, but that took me 3 years to make that decision. So, yeah, 6 years ago, it took me a long time to get here. But now that I'm here, it's been a blast.
Wait, you must have been really young when you got mixed up with Mixed TV.
Yeah, I would say literally after college, that was one of my first jobs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where'd you go?
I went to UC Davis.
UC Davis?
Yes, I've been in the Bay Area for a while.
We're all UC kids here.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
are! Represent.
Represent.
Wait, from
Yeah.
where?
Irvine.
Right?
Riverside.
Santa Barbara.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
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 All different
So we
ones.
can
Sorry.
all hate on UCLA
No, UCLA.
together! F you, UCLA! You suck! You should have accepted
Wow.
me! I had a nice SAT score. Anyways, I'm not bitter at all.
I didn't even apply to UCLA.
Good, because they suck. Sorry, guys. Anyways, so you how did you get into show producing?
I think it's just I've always been a one-woman band. I started off as a journalist reporter at UC Davis. There was
that your major?
Communication was.
Okay.
Broadcasting wasn't really a major there. I would have gone to SF State for broadcasting, but I wasn't exactly sure I wanted to go right into broadcasting. But when I was a reporter at UC Davis, I joined the Aggie TV, which is the student television station. And one of my stories on the protests ended up on CNN.
Oh, cool.
Oh, which protest?
The student tuition increase for 32% increase on tuition, and it really
Oh,
affected
okay.
a lot of
That was
middle
like
class.
think I remember that.
2006
and
or
it-
so?
dissolving like multi-ethnic and
Right.
studies.
I remember that.
So there was a huge, peaceful protest, but yeah, it went online, and that was the moment I realized that I could do something.
You
as a
certainly have,
student,
yeah.
I
Right.
don't have to be like at a certain like 3-letter station in order for me to affect change. And I think
Yeah.
that's what really inspired me to I have a voice, let me use it.
Well, look where you
Absolutely.
are today.
That's awesome.
On PanGeekery, the top
I know.
podcast in the nation. My God,
streaming
how
service in the world.
hardworking and lucky she is.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you did that. Sorry, I'm like so curious. I'm like taking
Go
over.
ahead. No.
no. I was just.
If you have something, yeah, absolutely.
I don't.
Oh, okay. So,
I have some,
Oh, go ahead, Jen.
okay.
Yeah. So we know that you are multidisciplinary as well. A couple of us do a variety of things in the arts as well. And with people in the arts who do multiple avenues like writing, producing, acting, directing, all those hats, what do you find inspires you when you feel like you're in a creative rut?
That's a great question too, because I think when I've noticed lately when I'm at networking events, people are always asking, what do you do? And
Yeah.
it's really
Right.
hard to say what I do without feeling like it's a cliche
Or
it's
them being like, oh, so she's
or
not really good at any of them.
or
Yeah.
she's just disillusioned. She doesn't know what she wants to do.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've been fascinating. So I've gotten to the point where I just say I'm a host and filmmaker, because filmmaker encompasses hosting, directing, producing, editing, all that stuff, and it just helps me kind of consolidate
Yes.
everything. But when I'm in a creative rut, really it is just really supporting people in my community. It really has inspired me when I am in a rut to just go out, support, a friend who is performing at a show, or maybe a friend's film that just, launched. You're supporting, you're also being able to interact, and you're also able to get inspired by, wow, you
Right.
created that. I want to create too. It was just like for me in American Idol, I used to grow up singing country music, and I would stop singing, but when I would watch American Idol, I see other people sing, I'm like, oh, they're going for their dreams. I kind of want to do it now. So it's kind of like
Right.
that. It inspires you, it motivates you, and then also go outside and, get away from the computer screen every now and then too. And social media too is like a huge thing, It's like you can't live with it, but you can't live without it. But I'm learning these days to really kind of start living without it. try, but
Wow.
But,
so you only
yeah.
check
Brave.
Instagram every other hour.
yes, every other
That's
hour. Yeah.
genius.
That's amazing.
Holy crap.
Impossible. I'm just kidding.
Self-control.
I know.
It's kind of like push versus fetch. Yeah. Like in iPhone.
Wait, so I checked out your IMDb, did a little stalking. I'm just kidding. No, I checked out your IMDb. It says you're an actor, an editor, a director, a cinematographer, a writer, a host, a Batwoman, a vigilante. Like what? And you're a singer?
Yeah. Well,
So-
it was so funny that you said Batwoman. I literally posted something today saying that I was Batwoman because I just souped up my car by installing LED lights into it.
What?
And it's like red and black. And I'm like,
So you're like a car techie
I'm a
person.
tech head for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get
Astrophysicist?
into that? Yeah.
I know.
Badass.
Yeah.
Overall.
Star Talk.
How did you get into tech culture?
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up in the Bay and also growing up being the person that would be the in-house person to like fix an LCD screen or like connect a computer when it wasn't working in classrooms. I always was fascinated with taking things apart and putting things back together. But the moment I moved down here, literally the day after I had an interview with Google for the Google Glass team.
Nice.
I know you mentioned that earlier.
Right.
And I got the job. And I came down for entertainment, but then that happened, and I always wanted to be like, I want to tell my parents that I worked at Google or worked in tech. You know,
No, that's awesome.
How
I at least
Asian of
tried,
you.
parents. Look
No.
at me.
You must be very patient doing all that troubleshooting like back home.
Yeah, no, I love figuring out how things work, though. I think that's
Yeah.
just in
Right.
life.
You guys, that's so
great.
sexy.
Yeah.
Understanding
How
the
things
schema,
work.
the system,
By what
science.
by what mechanism does this operate?
And then I took it apart and
And I
looked
put
on
it
the
back
inside.
These are like my hype women. I just bring them everywhere I go.
They come as a
awesome.
package, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, I could
great.
use the money.
We're like basically joined at the hip, Kaitlyn and I. So
You want to join in on this?
So we have a question from chat. What is your favorite country music song?
Oh, anything by Shania Twain.
Shania Twain.
Wow.
Can
think
you
Shania Twain.
sample?
Sample.
Oh my god.
Just a little something. 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Let's go.
Oh my god. This is like you're putting me on the spot here.
Just go for it, go
I
for
wasn't
it.
even warmed up yet. Let me drink out of this
Top
Jimmy John's
podcast
sponsored
in the
water
nation.
thing.
Your fan base will skyrocket, girl.
yeah, let's
Oh
do
my
it.
god.
Yeah.
Okay, this one was any man of mine better be proud of me. Even when I'm ugly, you still better love me. And I can be late for a date, that's fine, but you better be on time.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
I just got back from Stagecoach too, so that
Oh,
was
nice.
interesting going with my friends. It's like an unassuming Asian person at a Stagecoach. That was just always
You get
so
a lot of
funny.
That
looks.
reminds me of Yellow
Right.
Rose, which was the opening
Yeah,
night. Yeah,
Oh,
the
right,
Yellow
right, right.
Rose.
There. And
me too. I was in the
I
front
should have
row.
brought my cowboy hat and boots
You
because I literally
should've.
just got back from Stagecoach and went
Yeah.
to LAPFF, and I was like, oh my god,
Asian
there's
girls
Dale
singing
Watson.
country music.
And this is an Asian girl singing country. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I feel so seen.
Oh, girl, you slacked on that one. That should have been you. That
She's
should have been
amazing.
you.
Congrats to her on her 2 Tony
Yeah.
nominations.
She's
Amazing.
I gotta watch
Wow.
this.
I know.
Her acting is, she's never even been in a short film.
'Cause
This is
Herb-
her first
She's
film.
so
Yeah.
good.
Everybody has
Wow.
been
Ava
talking about it
Noblez's
the last
on it,
couple of
yeah.
weeks. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, that was great. So I want to know. So you started a YouTube channel. When was that?
That was back in college days too, because we had a lot of YouTubers come to the campus, but not a lot of people knew who they were unless you were Asian.
So
Or,
this
you
is
know.
when YouTube kind of just first started.
Yeah, it kind of just
Gotcha.
started to, and then
Okay.
I was like, you know, I'm a news reporter, but no one wants to put this on the channel, and I want it to live somewhere. And on top of that, I don't like cutting people's words because I feel like news has a way of just kind of, you know, cutting it down to the 30 seconds that could make or break you.
Right.
And I wanted people to feel comfortable in sharing their story and
Yeah.
providing a platform that, you know, I'm not Oprah or Ellen, but at least I am interested in my people and like the culture and the community I'm trying to create.
Right.
And that was a very huge thing for me. So that helped me connect with a lot of Asian American organizations, a lot of multimedia, and just saying that I am a woman, I'm a woman of color, and this is what I stand for and represent. And I think it's something that's in this day and age right now is something that's wanted.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So just
Finally.
realizing that.
Yeah. It's
God.
like in now to be diverse.
Yes. It's
like
in
finally
to be
in.
Nicki Sun. You wish you were this.
So I saw your
Let's hope it's not a phase.
interview with Sharon Lee.
Oh, Shannon Lee.
I'm
Yes.
Sharon. Gosh.
Shirley
I'm-
Earl.
Get up.
Go,
Can
John.
leave now, new. Can leave. Sharon Lee anymore.
Today is just not.
Earl, it's
My
like
day.
you're
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah.
I know. I miss my bus.
Yeah.
I lose my phone. Oh my
Disrespecting our
god.
guest by not getting her facts straight.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's only because this breakdown is incorrect, by the way.
Oh
So
my
you're
just
saying it's
to
the
throwing-
producer's fault.
Yeah,
Yo.
I'm gonna. I can't change it.
all good.
That
an
is
interview-
super embarrassing. Shannon Lee, because like I'm such a big Bruce Lee fan. Oh my god.
Yes.
But I was gonna say that it was an awesome interview. I mean,
thank
what did
you.
that feel like?
I was, watching it through the whole thing.
Right.
My dad passed away, and in his columbarium there is a Bruce Lee bobblehead because that's how much like Bruce Lee impacted him.
Right.
Wow.
And so for me to actually get to share that story with Shannon meant so much. And
That's
even
amazing.
after this, for me, when I interview people, we're at this point where we're like friends.
Right.
It's hard to have like a 30-minute conversation or interview with someone you don't know or are inspired
Absolutely.
by. And so I'm very proud and happy to say that after that interview, like Shannon and I are like really good friends. And
That's so awesome.
and it's
Oh my
one of
God.
those things where she gifted me like the Bruce Lee jacket I wore today, and I wear it everywhere I go because it just means so much to me. And I think connecting with her and being able to say, I know you're Bruce Lee's daughter, but you're so much more than Bruce Lee's daughter.
Yeah.
To feel like that's your adjective and your
Yeah.
like
Right.
description everywhere you go. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're a queen in your own right.
Absolutely.
And I think that's for me when I interview people. I'm very genuine and authentic with why I want to interview them, and I think that's how that interview came to happen.
Right.
But
That's
just
really
also
awesome,
talking about
yeah.
filmmaking and her stepping into the role of, protecting her father's, words and craft and legacy and really pushing for a script that was hidden 50 years ago and
Yeah.
bringing it back to life. That was such a cool moment just to actually
Yeah.
see his actual handwriting. And
Right.
I'm like, whoa, this is like a legend in the making. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, this is amazing. So.
When did that interview take place?
That interview, I think that happened in, might have been late April. I think it was late April. It was definitely
this
after I got
year?
back. Of this year.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. And it was, we also talked about Warriors, so I know that's a hot topic.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
know.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't had a chance to catch it yet, but like I'm champing at the bit to get to it. Like,
Yeah.
Champing at the bit.
Chomping
Yeah.
at the bit.
Chomping.
It is. It's
Champing?
champing.
Chomping. I think it's
It's
champing.
chomp?
It's champing.
Champing?
Yep. It's champing at
Oh,
the bit. Yeah.
interesting.
I got one right.
You only get one, Earl.
All right, Chayos. Sit down, Chayos.
All right.
Chaos. I know.
Wait, can we talk a second about filmmaking?
Yeah.
Right.
I heard you're a fantastic Asian woman filmmaker in the
thank
Hizans.
you.
So what are your past projects, current projects? Tell us your background.
Sure. So I just recently launched a tech channel catered to the filmmaking and video production community in Women's History Month. I've gone to many convention trade shows as one of the few women who get to speak and have access to a mic, and I want to provide more access and accessibility for women and people of color to really get into the filmmaking world and have the access and support that they need. So I started a channel. I launch a video every Thursday. It's anything from 3 awesome audio setups under $250 for your next video production.
That's freaking awesome.
To like an interview on the latest tech product that came out at NAB. So it's like that kind. And also I want to be able to highlight and interview female filmmakers on my channel. So I know I
Okay.
do a lot of interviews with Asian Americans on my other channel, but on this channel I really want to focus like maybe it's lighting tips or how to direct with director Patty Lee, who was the first Asian woman of color inducted to the ASC, and all that stuff. And I love filmmaking. I love actually operating the camera. I think a lot of times when I was on set, sometimes people be like, "Are you an actor or are you a hair and makeup artist?" And I'm like, "No, I'm the director or like, I'm the DP,
Get the
Mic drop.
or I'm the
Get in
editor."
thy place.
CFO.
So it's one of those things that it takes time, it takes progress, but I've been surrounded by a lot of female filmmaker groups and Time's Up AAPI, and we just really want to create that change and kind of disrupt the 4% challenge that less than 4% of filmmakers or DPs and directors are women. and then
Right.
more,
Amen
even
to
more
that.
so.
I'm surprised
women
it's
of
even that
color.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
even that much.
Yeah, it's like women, and then also women of color. It takes up even less of that.
What
so-
percentage of Asian female directors and DPs do you think are out there in Hollywood?
Oh my gosh.
It's like 0.1 or something.
Yeah, I would say it's like it's less than 2%.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I would say
Karen
less
Kusama.
than 4%
Oh, yeah,
are
Karen
women,
Kusama. Yeah.
and then less than 4% are women of color.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
yeah, there is
Yeah.
like a disparity there, and I'm hoping that my channel could at least affect some kind of change, or if not, at least give highlight and shine to women who are really changing the game. And I'm a huge person that empowered women empower other women.
Right.
I think society pits us against each other so much already that I just want to celebrate and highlight the feats that these amazing women are doing, and they deserve shine. Really, they
Absolutely.
really deserve shine.
Yeah, amen to that. Let's all snap to that.
Let's all
I can snap to that
to
forever.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
your channel?
So my name is Nikki, and my channel is called Tech Nikki Speaking.
Nice, very nice. How do you spell your Nikki?
It's Nicki, and thank you for asking. Please do not go to nickisun.com spelt any other way.
Oh.
Because
Sarah.
that's
Says-
a porn star, guys.
He's a porn
Come
star?
on,
If it
different
says, are you
Nikki.
18 or older, exit out. That's not me.
Or is it?
I know.
I always joke
You
around.
gotta be
but
old
she's
enough.
Norwegian, though, so you can't get us confused.
She's Norwegian?
I know.
She's
that's
Norwegian.
what
It's
I'm
a
using
little
my name
different.
for.
Her last name's Sun. I know, as if
absolutely
you didn't look her up, Earl. As if you
It's
didn't
like,
look.
I absolutely-
Her mountainous bosom.
I actually
Way
did
too
not
much
know
shine
this.
already here.
If
I guess
like
you can call her a filmmaker in her right, so I
I know.
have to support.
we gotta
you know.
support her.
She's
Other
got
Nicki Sun.
technical
I would
support.
I would
Yeah.
openly admit to that if I had known, but I did not. So,
Go home.
You are not
Earl.
innocent.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
It's a totally different type of filmmaking.
Yeah, it's a different type of
different
filming. We
type.
both do entertainment. Hers
What,
is just
what
different.
type, Rodney?
But hats off to female
Yes.
Sex workers,
Adult-
empowerment,
adult
adult film
filmmakers.
stars and
Yes.
filmmakers.
Yes.
You know, there is. We're veering into a different territory, but there is
We
feminist.
appreciate you.
There
is
is
what we're
feminist
saying.
porn out there.
Yeah.
Erica
Yes.
Lust. Don't ask me how I know that.
We learned about it in
yeah.
class.
Oh, yeah, I learned about it in class too.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in the show notes.
Next week on PanGeekery.
I got a YouTube link in the chat, and I'm kind of scared to click it.
It's the other Nikki.
It's the other Nikki going
I
like,
know.
hey,
I was
yo,
like, just as long
drop
as
a
you don't
line.
look at me weird, then that's fine. I'm like, that wasn't me.
Oh my God.
Well, okay, so you're doing intensive filmmaking. Can you tell us about your current project right now?
Yes, so I'm actually producing and casting director for my first short pilot film.
It's
yeah,
you.
that's me.
Cast all of
Wait,
us.
short pilot film?
Yeah, I guess we'll say, short form in terms of SAG after terms,
Yeah.
and then it is
Oh, right.
a pilot spec.
Oh,
For
okay.
TV show.
Yeah, for
Gotcha,
film festivals, and hopefully gets pitched to networks.
Gotcha,
But
okay.
It's really exciting. We have an all diverse women team, and I'm very intentional. So I'm actually looking right now for a female sound mixer and gaffer.
I know. I was like, she's gonna ask for something else.
PAs, and I'm very intentional. I would like to reach out to the women filmmakers first and give them the opportunity. I have very amazing male ally friends who can totally do the job, right? But that's kind of been the standard for everything. Like we have, it's easy access, right? But you sometimes need to work just a little bit harder
Yeah.
to reach out to those people. Same thing when
Right.
you're casting Asian Americans for film. Like, oh, they just didn't try hard enough. You say that there wasn't enough people, but you didn't try hard
Right.
enough.
Did
And
you
I
really
wanna-
look?
The
you know,
emphasis is not to
Right.
look, though.
Yeah.
You know, so now we are putting an emphasis on like there are talented actors of color out there.
Yeah.
You
Let's
just need to find
We need
them.
to target
Right.
them. We need
Absolutely.
to target them. Yeah. Can I like join your
Can I join your forces?
Your
your
call girl?
Kalasar?
Yeah,
Your Kalasar.
Khaleesi, meet
She's like my Misa right now.
Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Khaleesi.
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 Donageri. Yeah, because like right now you're like Asian Daenerys in my mind
Oh,
right now,
thank
and I'm
you.
like, can I be your camp follower?
Can I? Yeah.
I've always been the mother of cameras.
Yes.
You should have a T-shirt.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
that on.
Seriously.
I have always been the mother of cameras.
Jakar is that shit.
Well,
That's so great.
my tagline is "I got you in front and from behind," so I realize it can be like a sexual innuendo.
I was gonna say that's for the other
That should
Nicki
be the
Sun.
other
Yeah.
but at
website.
the same time, I kind of like that you don't know what I really do.
I like
Nice,
that.
nice.
I
It
like
makes you
that.
want to do that, but I'm actually working with a female woman of color logo designer too for technically speaking, because I literally
Cool.
just launched, and I feel like now it's that time to really create a cool logo that really amplifies
Get
what
the
I
glow
do.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get the
glow up.
Awesome.
glow
Glow
up
up.
from the flow up.
Yep.
Yeah, I when I was in high school, I watched a nude.
I watched some nudes.
A news segment.
By Erica Lust.
yeah.
No, I watched a news segment on television saying that the vast majority of film directors out there are male.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember thinking, well, that means I can't do it because I'm a girl.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm a girl of color. I'm not smart enough or capable enough or intelligent or talented enough to do something like that. So for years, I didn't even think about going into
Neither are
filmmaking.
half those dudes, honestly. so-
And yet they have the audacity to
Right.
try.
Sometimes
Exactly.
I play this game with myself. I think,
Yeah.
what would a mediocre white man do?
Yep.
I do that
And
with
the
my-
answer is
yeah.
always, yes, go for it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
That's like
Honestly,
Jenny
yeah.
Yang's thing. Give me the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Yeah. What's up, Jenny? Shout out.
But
Disoriented
no, I
comedy.
agree with that.
Hit us
You
up.
know,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I hope this channel, if anything, shows me holding gear, shows me editing, doing things. And I think
Yeah.
if more women and young girls and just people saw that they would feel like it's capable, it's doable.
Who,
Right.
did you have
course, yeah.
influences growing up? Like, who inspired you to do this? Be so bold and audacious.
I think, well, I think when I was doing hosting and reporting, a lot of my editors at the time were male, and I wanted to learn how to edit my own stories. I didn't like my words being edited a certain way, and also
Right.
it was like I didn't want like my piece to fall in the hands of if a guy felt a type of way about me. You know, it's like, oh, because people catch feels if you're like working until like 6 a.m. in the morning, like doing all this stuff, right?
Catch feels.
I don't catch feelings. I can keep
get
it.
it.
What are you talking
I
about?
can keep it professional. But you know, I never wanted to feel like something hindered me from doing something. So I'm like, I gotta learn how to do it. I gotta learn how to
Yes.
shoot. I gotta learn how to edit. I gotta learn how to do all my stuff.
Snaps.
Doing that and just being in the areas that I'm at, it's more like I'm collecting my fellow female.
Yeah,
filmmakers,
building
building
community.
Yeah.
Calasar,
creating
yeah.
a community and being like, I got you. If you need a videographer, I got you. If you need an editor, I got you. Like, if you don't
amazing.
feel comfortable with someone X, Y, and Z on your team, I got you. And that's kind of like the community I want to build.
I'm just
That's
like,
awesome.
What is
everything you're saying, I'm like,
I know.
oh my God.
Anyway, we're all getting hot and heavy over here.
It's because the AC is off.
Nicki Sun.
No.
Caution, wet floor.
I know.
Hold on. Let's get a mop over here. So what can you tell us?
hot in here.
We did turn the AC off though.
We did.
So Nikki, what is your new spec about?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's the show about?
Oh, it's actually a friend's like personal project, but it's about this couple who's married and they go on a break and everything that ensues in that. And it's a
Is it
very
a
diverse
comedy,
cast. It's
drama?
a dramedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and we have 17 roles.
Wow.
Wow.
And so I was looking through all the casting. I'm like, wow, this is what it's like to be on the other side. Because I
Isn't
did
it
acting
great?
for a little
Yeah.
bit. I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
acting
yeah.
for a little bit.
Right.
And then I was like, realized how much of control I like.
Yeah.
I like being able to, have control.
Yeah, no reel, sorry. You
Yeah.
gotta see that reel.
And
I
like
know.
you see what stands out
Yeah.
now if people write little notes or if people have a weird headshot or somebody
Where's your
submits as a
slate
twin,
shot?
Yeah.
and I'm just like I'm not hiring. It's not a 2-for-1 deal,
Right.
like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been interesting the process being on the other end of it, but
Exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't write it, but you're producing it, right?
yeah, I'm producing it.
And you're
Okay,
in
cool.
pre-production now, or?
Yeah, we shoot June 7th through the 9th.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So you're
Badass.
also in
There.
pre-production hell.
Yeah.
I'm there
Ah.
with you, sister.
I'm in pre-production for a lot of things. I have my
Yeah.
hand in a lot of hats, and I also own my own media company. So it's between managing the 2 channels for my tech channel and my Now You Know show. I'm producing a film, and then I'm hosting the 3AF show awards this Thursday. And on my free time, I help freelance video shoot, edit for other people.
You're
Yeah.
living the dream.
And
Awesome.
your
That's
media
April
lot of
Fool's
things.
joke, my ass. She's killing it, y'all.
Yeah.
This is all plot. And your media company is called Nicki Sun Media?
Yep, it's just Nicki Sun Media.
Cool.
And yeah, no, I think I just Marie Kondoed my entire life.
Hey.
you know,
yeah.
and
Preach,
so ever since quitting my full-time job of 3 years and even relationships and like my apartment, like I literally went cold turkey. Like I literally Marie Kondoed everything.
Nice.
And it has been such a huge difference in knowing what I want, putting a plan into action and just going for it.
Oh my gosh.
And I used to take forever to make decisions.
Yeah.
But literally, I 2 weeks ago, I walked into the car dealership and I bought a car right
Wow.
there, and I installed lights in my car yesterday. And I was like, I would never have done this, even last month.
What are
or
you
2
rolling
months
in?
ago. Oh, I got my new Scion. I am. So.
Wow.
Nice. I didn't know they still made Scion.
I
Yeah, they
know.
don't, but I like the fact that you can't get it again.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
love
You
the
just
Scion.
woke up and you're
Yeah.
like, gonna buy a car.
And you got the
Yeah.
skirt
Gonna buy
lights? Is that what you
Scion.
got? Or
No, I installed the LED lights from Type S Auto, so it's app controlled smart, so it can change. the lights.
Wait, are they like colored?
Yeah.
RGB?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the post I just posted today, and I was like, now you can call me Batwoman.
Yeah.
Because I am an all black everything kind of person.
Murdered out.
with a little bit of color. So now I
Right,
got all
right.
black everything with a little bit of color.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Holy shit.
Oh,
So
you gotta show us your car.
we have to wrap up this section.
Okay.
But that was awesome. That was inspirational, and wow. Like,
Can I
we
ask
learned
one
a lot.
more
Yeah,
question?
yeah, absolutely.
Like in 10 years, where do you want to be?
Gosh, I never know. I'm like, what am I doing tomorrow? But no, I really would love to be able to own and operate and have my own studio production company, like a physical location,
Right.
and be able to provide opportunities for filmmakers, women, people of color. Really want to champion those changes and, walk the walk and talk the talk. But it would be a dream to do that and direct, something that's maybe Emmy worthy. I feel like I've done things that, I don't think I deserve accolades or anything. We have this imposter syndrome sometimes.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm not good enough or whatever. But I'm like, if I don't do it, some other mediocre might make it. So I should
It's true, though.
say
Should do it.
yes
Yeah.
and do it and then prove, because that's the only way we can do it, right?
Yeah.
We need to feel confident and do it. Otherwise, we just pass up opportunities all the time. But
Yeah.
I really want to also provide opportunities too. I'm very much a champion of change, and I want to be able to,
Break the wheel.
yeah,
Break the wheel.
So can me and Jen join your
Be in
club?
your- Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my God, I'm so
I'll be your-
excited.
I'll be an actor in everything. I can play a
I-
tree. I can play a rock.
I can
I'll do everything.
any kind of collaboration
Yeah.
or work or slavery, servitude.
Wow.
She's really willing
You
to
have my
subject herself, you
sword.
guys.
We call that an internship.
Well, hey.
She's a
My
really good
ex.
coffee bitch. Just in case you
Medi-
my God, I
Walter
love it.
in the chat says mediocre for the win.
know. The win.
That's a very Walter thing to say, Walter.
Indeed. Wow. This is
Okay.
great.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you so much.
thank you so much for
Thank you
being
so
here.
much.
And I wish
So
I could
great.
contribute to your Game of Thrones, but I have
No.
not caught
No,
up.
no,
It's
no.
fine.
We don't want to mess it up for you.
Fine, girl.
I would
It's
never want to
fine.
mess up
Yeah,
I
let's
know.
not mess
This,
up
yeah.
that
Yeah.
for you.
this. Yeah, for
Yeah.
this thing.
Best seasons of them all. Best season 7 and 8.
I've been avoiding the chat.
How
rooms.
far are you? How far
I
back?
just finished season 6 yesterday.
That's what I mean. That's like the best seasons, 7 and 8.
I wish you luck on your
Wish you
journey.
luck on that journey. Yeah.
The worst is yet to come.
Well, thank you, Nikki.
Thank you all.
As we say goodbye to Nikki, we're going to go into a quick break. We're going to show you guys some videos from a recent kind of cooking show we did with Chef Ralph DeGala, and a Game of Thrones themed dinner that we helped prepare from a couple weeks ago. So enjoy that, and we'll be back in about 5.
I gotta use the bathroom.
10 in 10. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
And we're on break.
Gosh, you're so cool. I know.
How's it going, everyone? So we're back from our break. So you just saw a little taste of the video that Rodney cut together for that Game of Thrones themed dinner. We're going to have the rest of that video up soon. So check that out on our YouTube. Probably, yes. I'm going to say yes, probably our YouTube, because we don't have any other account. Yeah.
What other video
streaming
Vimeo.
platform?
I don't know. Check that out on our Facebook. I don't know.
Wow.
Chaos.
Is that
Chaos.
anything like Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. So, guess what we're talking about? Game of Thrones. The finale.
Series finale.
The Iron. The series finale.
finale.
The Iron
Right.
Throne. Entitled The Iron Throne.
Right.
So-
God, there's so much to say.
There's lots to say, but we are going to start off with a quick recap of the episode. So, Jen, did you want to do that? Or?
Yeah, let's just mouth off what we saw, right?
Okay.
So, starting off, we see that King's Landing is in shambles.
Right.
Tyrion walks through the shambles. He finds the bodies of his siblings, Jaime and Cersei, lying in the rubble. He cries. And we
Very
see
well as well.
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's that's a performance for pure
And
privilege.
not
He's always
many
been an
people
amazing actor.
are left in King's Landing alive.
Nope.
Yeah.
And the ones that
Yeah.
are like
fucked
messed
up.
the
Yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah. It's essentially like they've experienced genocide is what happened. And then Daenerys gives this speech on top of the stairs that is akin to something like fantasy Hitler.
It's like a
you
Mein
know?
Kampf
Right.
kind
Like she
of-
wants to take over the entire world and purge them of like tyrants everywhere, not seemingly oblivious of the fact that she is becoming the tyrant that she so wants to purge the world of.
Right.
And what else happens?
Then we move on to
Tyrion,
Tyrion. He gets arrested. He throws away the
throws
hand,
away the hand job.
That's right.
hand job.
The hand job.
And
He
throws
he
away-
declines the hand
He
job.
discards it.
Discards the hand job.
He takes a pin and then abdicates from his position as the
like a
hand.
boss.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is an act of treason. So she
Absolutely.
imprisons
No,
him.
the act of treason is that he let Jamie go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
so that
yeah.
Double
this
treason.
This is
and
the
he conspired.
final. Yeah.
He didn't report Varys either, like at the time.
Well,
Well-
yeah. No, she said if you fail me one last time, and it was
Mm-hmm.
when it's when he let Jamie go.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But he ends up in shackles, and they throw him in. Well, I guess their makeshift prison for the time being. And Jon comes by, and they have a little chit chat.
So Tyrion basically convinces Jon, or at least tries to convince him in this moment, that Daenerys has gone off the deep end and that in order to bring peace back into the world, Jon needs to reconsider doing what is right for the world as he has in the past. And so he implies that Jon must kill Dany. And Jon struggles with this for a moment until later he does decide to follow through with this. And he meets Daenerys, who is surprisingly alone.
I know.
In
What
the
was that all
throne
about?
Right.
Yeah. No guards.
And,
Well,
they-
there's a Drogon
I
outside.
guess.
right.
Yeah.
And then essentially Dany says that Dany tries to recruit Jon in saying that if you join me and we join forces, we could take over the world,
Yes.
Pinky. And of course,
Trying to
he
take over the
seems like he
world.
obliges. He closes in for a kiss, and then he stabs her. And
the
then
heart.
Drogon, the last remaining dragon, comes by and doesn't burn Jon.
To a crisp.
Cradles Dany, flies off.
And
No,
it
you
melts,
forgot. Yeah.
Oh, what
the
happened?
most
melts
important
the,
part.
Oh, he
melts
burns
the
melts
Iron
the
Throne.
Iron Throne in some freaking meta ass symbolic shit.
Right.
Flies away.
Okay.
Then we fast forward to 3 or 4 weeks later.
Right.
Something like that.
And King's Landing looks like it's in one piece, surprisingly.
I know. What was that all about?
Anyway,
Like
we'll,
they rebuilt the city from the ground?
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So,
It's the same people that built all the Ironborn ships.
A
Right.
fleet of 1,000 ships.
fleet
yeah.
of 1,000 ships.
Yeah.
Same people.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
And
okay.
then,
There's a council. There's a council
council
that has
of all the
convened
lords from all the
from all the large
kingdoms.
houses.
well,
right.
actually, before the council, Tyrion is not executed at this point
Right.
still. He's let out by Grey Worm. And he speaks in front of the lords and ladies of Westeros. And Tyrion basically proposes that Bran be the new king, the new ruler of the Seven Kingdoms.
You're right.
Because he is the keeper of our
the most
stories.
stories.
Yes, and what bands people together into tribes and into cultures and houses is their shared
Our
stories.
Our stories.
Yeah.
And
that happened.
then
And Bran accepts this with a very knowing glance. Sansa
It was all
claims
planned.
that the North is now independent, a la Scotland. What else happens?
Ireland.
And Jon Snow is condemned to be a member of the Night's Watch once more.
Yeah, because there's no way they would let him go, so they seek a compromise.
With
but
the
very
Unsullied, right.
people who would kill him end up leaving shortly after.
They
for
do.
no-
Right.
Right. Forever.
Also, the Night's Watch still exists, even though there are no more White Walkers.
Right.
Right.
So,
What are they there for?
Anyways,
Well,
It's
we're
okay.
gonna. Yeah, we're just doing
yeah,
the.
yeah. Wait, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just talking.
We're
about
just going through it,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Arya. Well, we see Sansa getting coronated as Queen of the North
Right.
in a very beautiful gown with
Right.
weirwood
I
leaves on the sleeves.
I like that part.
Arya basically announces in a very heartfelt goodbye to Jon that she's going to travel and sail the world as an
Right.
explorer and is going to sail west of Westeros. And that about concludes it, right? We end on
Jon
Jon
Snow.
riding north with the wildlings north of the wall and looking back as the gate shuts down. So
And the signs of spring are spreading around the.
right,
Yeah.
they walk into
Right.
the forest, and the forest seems to have melted.
And
somewhat.
most important, he pets Ghost.
He pets Ghost.
Yes, thanks HBO for that.
Yes.
Okay, well, that recap made us sound like we had overall positive attitudes about everything.
You know,
Well, it's being very very matter of
trying to
fact
be
about
neutral.
things, right?
you guys go first.
Okay,
You guys
go ahead, Earl.
first. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Well, I propose that let's talk about a few highs first. Well, John pet Ghost. That was a definite high for me. Because he's still the goodest boy.
I thought Sansa looked so pretty in her
Sansa was
coronation
gorgeous.
gown. It was like Elizabeth the First,
It was
fancy
good.
medieval style,
Yeah.
and like my little girl's
Exploded.
heart was like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
She got
it's
to
a
be the
dream.
lady.
She got to
Yeah.
be not just a lady, the
But the
queen of the
queen.
North.
Yeah.
That was cool.
My favorite was still, of course, Arya getting teary-eyed as she says
The
goodbye to
tears
Jon.
like dripping down her face.
Yeah.
That was the only part that made me cry and made me feel
That was
anything.
kind of like the reunion I kind of wanted for the Stark children.
That's what.
Yeah.
Right,
We're
right.
talking about the highs. We're talking about the highs.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
We're talking about the
that's
highs.
about it. I'm done with the highs.
I mean, it was still a really beautiful episode.
I feel like it was a beautiful episode because
Right.
it was clearly George R. R. Martin's plot points that were
Right.
trying to
Well,
be
yeah,
put
yeah.
forth. At this point, sorry, we already said our highs.
I
You
might
like
have
those?
one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay.
I don't know. I forgot what it is when you started talking. Sorry, I told you.
There's a moment where Drogon realizes that Daenerys is dead, and he's like
Right.
nudging her. I kind of wasn't expecting that level of
Yeah.
tenderness to come out.
Oh,
in the
right, from
dragon.
Drogon.
So
Yeah.
I kind of like that they did that.
I'm glad they did
I
too.
like the
Yeah.
whole melting of the Iron Throne. I thought it was very symbolic. You didn't like it?
I'll talk about it.
Oh,
Okay.
we didn't talk about. We forgot to cover the table of the hand, the small council.
Oh, that's right.
That
Small
happened.
council.
There was no highs there.
Oh yeah.
I
So
didn't like that.
Bran puts together Tyrion starts the small council, and the Master of Coin is Bronn. The Master of
Because that makes total
Yeah.
sense.
the Grand
Right?
Maester is Sam, which makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah. And
When he came
Davos-
out in his robes, I was like, yeah!
yeah.
And his chain. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, buddy.
And Brienne, Sir Brienne
Yeah.
Is the captain of the King's
Heck
Guard.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Who else? Sir Davos is something.
Sir Davos is,
But
yeah.
he was
forgot.
Stannis'
Master of
right
Ship.
hand man. Yeah, okay. That makes sense too.
Yeah.
It was just Braun where I was like,
Okay.
yeah.
Can we
Yeah, so.
can we permission to tear into stories, sir?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's
Go
do it.
into it.
So I still had like overall while I was watching a positive experience.
I did too. This was
While I was watching.
the least bad episode since episode 5 of season 7. In my opinion.
Right.
Like that's how bad the
How
other
far-
episode. Yeah, that's how
yeah.
far in we are. I think I was overwhelmed with sadness about what happened to Daenerys. Not
Right.
because I didn't see it coming. I did, and I expected it, but I don't know. It was just really sad, and I feel kind of upset for her character because if she had been portrayed as more sympathetic and less like Hitler,
Yeah.
then this would have been a much more poetic moment.
Right.
You see what I mean? It
Yeah.
would have been more of a sacrifice on John's part.
Right. It's kind of like in the way we saw it, it was like something he had to do. It wasn't the question.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and for us to see how cold and psychopathic she's become,
Right.
I lose empathy for her. Therefore, I feel unfulfilled somewhat.
Absolutely.
Like this is not finished.
Danny
Yeah.
used to be my favorite character
Oh
out
my
of
God.
all
She
the
was my
characters
like,
in the
favorite
world.
character like ever. Like I just loved her.
Her death made me feel nothing.
Yeah. Well,
I felt numb. I still feel numb.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm still thinking about it.
The thing is, I mean, they jostled her character so much over every other character in the show, I feel like, because they had to
Right.
do a hard pivot. And then suddenly, like, everything that she's done in the past, like, whatever good-natured care that she had for the underdog was suddenly overshadowed by this power-hungry mongrel that, like, took over her.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And suddenly her, like, thirst for power was more tyrannical than it
Yeah.
was, like, abolitionist.
But it was kind of hard to buy.
It was very hard
Right.
to buy.
It was hard to buy because I feel like if and when George R. Martin does this turn for her character, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot more elegantly written, more believable,
Right.
and psychologically consistent.
We should hope so.
Yeah.
And
I
I
just-
think so.
I think a lot of this is I mean, in part is due to it's just a byproduct of these curtailed seasons. And it's
That's what
like
I mean. It's been rushed,
Right.
So you don't feel the payoff as deeply as you should.
right.
Well, not only does it feel rushed, it also feels a different form of storytelling. I mean, like
course,
I've been
yeah.
reading, that article that I posted up about
The sociological versus-
sociological storytelling
I
versus
posted that
psychological
too.
storytelling.
And then I deleted it because I was like, everyone's gonna be like, "Shut up, Kaitlyn," and after complaining. But it
No.
was so good.
I honestly think this is one of, and oddly enough, even though this is mass entertainment, it's one of the most important conversations we could be having right now, because I feel like the way in which people have been responding, God, my throat,
You're right.
illuminates how we interpret and approve of even politics or how we function as a society.
I think
You
it
know?
absolutely
Can you,
does.
can you quickly launch into what that article was about?
Yeah, so essentially the article was saying that Game of Thrones started off as a sociological drama, meaning that the story continues regardless of whether or not key characters die, which made it compelling
Right.
because the world belonged to the same deep story that the entire authorship of the show was trying to
The
create.
world is a living being in itself.
Right.
Exactly.
And what
Many
happens
faceted. Okay.
Right.
and what happens with the characters
Yeah.
is reflective of the society in which it takes place.
Yes, but in multiple ways.
Right.
Right.
You're like exploring reality through different, characters.
Right.
Kind of like in a video game, like you can choose
Yeah.
different characters, but the world
Yeah.
still exists.
Right.
So, like, whatever whatever choices they make directly affect everyone around them, and everyone around them, every person, every character in Game of Thrones. There's so many characters in this world, affects each other, and these characters bring about their own demises more often than not. But like past the 5 or 6th season
Yeah.
mark, things start becoming a little more psychological, which
Right.
is usually how like American TV shows or
That's
movies are
Hollywood
made.
storytelling, yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
that, we favor the main characters, we try to keep them alive, and we try to tell their stories because they're the ones we want to see win. However, even though that's the case for, fans who want to see Jon live to the end or whatnot, I feel like this is a disservice to the spirit of Game of Thrones in that you no longer feel that like palpable sense of mortality that added to the story that was in the previous seasons. Like, I honestly think that Jon and Tyrion should have died.
Well,
Like, really? There's no reason for Tyrion to be alive. He wanted all those
Character-wise,
innocents to
right.
survive, and he failed.
I'm curious. Do you mean like in a general sense, speaking from George R. Martin's narrative, you think Tyrion should have died,
Yeah.
or he should have just died given the circumstances that
Of
the
the
show
show,
brought him to,
right.
Or you think his character arc should end in him dying?
I think if we were in keeping with George R. R. Martin's vision
Yeah.
and feel of the show, Tyrion and Jon should have died.
Really?
I think so. And I think like Jon should have died when Drogon burned him. The most implausible part of the entire episode
was Drogon not killing
was
him?
Drogon going like, you know what? The Foucauldian aspect of the throne, we are all
I
just
don't-
power-hungry actors
Right.
in
No,
I
this game.
think I disagree.
Yeah?
I disagree.
You think a dragon
you-
is smart enough to
No, no, no,
burn
no, no,
the
no,
throne
no.
versus
I
avenge his
think
mother?
when George R. R. Martin writes this,
Yeah.
there'll be a better reason
For why that
for why
happened.
he avoids being burnt to a crisp from Drogon. Narratively speaking, I don't think there's anything in his character that necessitates him dying a second time. He has already died. Due to prophecy, he is a Azor Ahai, and Azor Ahai is determined by the fact that this prince who was promised will slay his beloved, thereby breaking the will and bringing about a new era of change
Right.
and rule. So there is, in my opinion, not necessarily a need for him to die.
I almost think that if we double down on the Azor Ahai thing in the show,
He should live.
right,
Yeah.
that would have made infinitely more sense.
Now, as a ruler, or just live in general.
Just live in general, and because I mean there was so much build up, and so much of that was being said about him being brought back by R'hllor, right, by
Yes.
the Lord
Yeah.
of Light, and that there was a reason for it. But
Yeah.
when the actual reason came, which I suppose was
You think he's going to sit on the throne? He's
Or-
going to kill the
right.
Night King. Yeah.
exactly none of it
None
happened.
of those happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even if things
Yeah.
happened, even when it did happen, him, killing Daenerys,
Yeah.
it was like there was no time made to the prophecy.
Right. And if he dies, he's also fulfilling a point that narratively has already been shown twice with the
Right.
death of Ned Stark and the death of Robb Stark. So and also with actually 3 times with
Right.
with
Yeah.
Jon's first death. So I think
suppose
it's
so.
overkill if he dies again, and maybe this is just
Maybe.
the poet in me. I just feel like it's more poetic and romantic that 2 of his lovers die and tragically he must continue on as
I guess so. I mean,
maybe that's just me.
in the-
I don't know.
I see how that logic works.
Yeah.
I just also think, on the flip side, I also think that given the world that D&D have created in the final seasons,
Sure.
Right.
John
It would
not
make-
getting
yeah,
killed
was-
immediately
yeah.
by the Unsullied and Dothraki, who have no ruler now. They
I
have
was
no
gonna say,
reason.
why did they just kill
Right.
him on
have-
sight?
They would kill him
They
on
would
sight,
kill him
not even
on
let him-
sight, no trial, nothing.
Who
Absolutely.
would they take orders from that would stop them from fucking butchering
Yeah, not
Jon?
Tyrion. Yeah,
I think
Not
that
Tyrion.
if we're talking about the world that was created in the show,
show,
absolutely,
yeah.
Jon should have died.
he should have died
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
I think if we're thinking about his arc in terms of the books,
like they're gonna find some clever way to keep
right,
him alive.
and this is another like
warg into ghost or
right.
something. Yeah,
this
like,
is another shortcoming of the show, wherein in the first 5 seasons we didn't see Jon's plot armor. It was
exactly.
It was
We see
transparent.
it now.
but it's
But
transparent
now
yeah.
it's
I'll
it's,
give you guys that. I'll give you guys.
It's like
that.
absolutely transparent. I mean, like when we see him leading the charge versus
in season 6.
No. Well, season 6, but I'm thinking about the Battle of Winterfell when he's about to go up against the Night King, and then he's surrounded by whites, and he makes it out alive, despite the fact that Daenerys. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
know.
I would have been still somewhat satisfied if Drogon flies in and like slightly burns Jon a little bit.
just a little bit.
Just burns him enough to like make him resemble the Hound almost, and then flies away.
right.
Because I
little
just
more
really
pyrrhic.
don't believe
Some Rurouni
that
Kenshin
if
shit.
you
Yeah.
Kill your
you-
love and get a scar.
Yeah.
I'm
oh
just
gosh, the
saying-
OVAs.
I really
I
don't
know.
buy. I mean, like I know that Drogon is like basically an animal or like,
Right.
a pet
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that, but
that
he's
would make
still
sense,
a
yeah.
child, and his mother is murdered. Like, would he
Yeah,
really
why
go like,
wouldn't he kill-
Oh, let me put on my thinking glasses and think about philosophy for a second.
Yeah, I've been
Actually,
trying to
I
come
want
up with a
dethrone
headcanon for
everything."
why that
It's a little
happened.
just too easy.
I think in my head I was thinking like this is what George R. R. Martin wants to keep Jon alive and to
Right.
symbolically melt the throne, or to literally melt the throne and symbolically melt the ties that are binding this like absolute monarchy together.
Right.
So in my
Yeah.
head I forgave it a little just because I was like I know what they're trying to do. But you're right. You bring up an excellent point. Jon should have died given the circumstances.
Given that
D&D
setup.
were. Yeah,
If he
should have
did die,
died for sure.
I wouldn't have minded that at all. Actually, if at the end,
I mean,
of
I would
this-
have been sad.
I would have been very sad.
I would have been
One of-
sad.
But there have been many times when I've been sad, like watching this series, not because of like
I
the
would
way
have
it's
been
going.
really fucking
Yeah,
sad.
I would have been
thing
really
is-
sad.
Yeah.
You know what's strange is that even though D&D have taken these like the writing to this place where it's unexpected,
Right.
they aren't necessarily taking big risks.
No.
they really don't risk anything.
Right.
I feel like plot armor is heavier on the characters now more so than ever. A, because it's psychological storytelling, and B, because they also don't want to see a dip in fan reactions.
Well, they failed miserably on that front.
Exactly. And essentially it robs you of the spirit of Game of Thrones. It really does.
The bigger risks you play with, the more the audience applauses.
Right.
Applauses.
Because perfect example is, oh my God, kill me if I'm saying it right. Oberyn from
Oberyn.
season 4 quickly became one of my favorite characters
Great
over the
character.
span of a few
Fun.
episodes.
Yeah.
He was like
He does this-
Proto-Euron, except he made sense.
Yeah, like this proto-Euron.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does this really fantastic fight with the mountain, and just when he's at the peak of victory and audience approval, gets his skull crushed.
Right.
We were all horrified. None of us wanted that to happen. And yet, weren't we like,
Yeah.
good
Yes.
storytelling? Yeah,
But
it made sense.
It made sense
Yeah.
because that's a character that we had built up.
Yeah, and it makes
In
sense.
our heads the entire time.
Like,
And that's what's missing from
Yeah.
this
Of course
Game
he's
of
going to
Thrones.
gloat. He
Yeah.
gloats at every chance he gets.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
another pet peeve that I've been having is that they recycle these little tiny details that used to remind us of the characters that we loved without actually adding to the depth of the characters.
Yep.
Tyrion talking about I don't know, honeycombs, and Bronn talking about brothels.
God.
Oh,
It's
the brothel,
hey,
the
remember
donkey.
Yeah,
the
the
good
donkey and
times.
the
I-
brothel with the honeycomb. Okay.
The donkey
Yeah.
story. We're never
If
going
he
to hear
doesn't
it.
finish that effing story, then I'm like, don't bring it up.
Oh,
the thing is-
and we didn't get it.
We didn't get it. Yeah.
We didn't get it. I mean, they brought it up just to harken back to old times. You know
Right.
what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, if you wanted to go see the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, except somebody just put you on the animatronic ride at Disneyland, and suddenly you just see the animatronics
You remember
of the
these
characters
things,
that you love,
right.
and enacting this tomfoolery playthrough of what the characters are supposed to be,
Right.
yet not really being the
Well,
characters. That's how I've been feeling about these seasons overall, is that these actors are essentially trying to put on fake two-dimensional versions of
They're
themselves.
pastiches of their
Right,
past
they're
selves.
not their
puppeting
fault, though.
their past
No,
selves.
no.
Yeah.
Without really having the depth of who they were before.
Yeah.
And I
The
mean,
game-
sorry, no, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, it's just become kind of a joke to me. I mean, the whole A Song of Ice and Fire thing. When you know
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
book.
I knew that was
Yeah.
because we were talking about that
was
was going
corny
to
as
happen,
shit.
but
Yeah.
when it actually happened, I was like, oh, they went there. Okay.
Yeah, and then them being like, "Oh, Tyrion,
Tyrion's
you're
not
not
in
in
it."
the book."
Right.
And we're like,
That was
"Was
supposed
that
to be a
supposed to be
joke?
funny?"
None of us
Yeah.
laughed.
Yeah.
So.
No.
I going back. Okay, so
Mm.
Jen, you sound like you were thoroughly disgusted with this episode.
Well, I wasn't disgusted. I mean, to be fair, I like this episode more than anything in season 8.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that's what I was
this
like.
I definitely did too.
Yeah, because
is
I was
not
like,
saying
this
a lot,
this
though.
was better than the other ones. I have to say, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, I said, "What's your verdict?" And she sent back the GIF from The Princess Bride. Boo! Boo!
There have been
Yeah.
Thank you for saying GIF, by the
Yeah,
way.
the GIF.
such violent reactions.
Yeah, violent
to
reaction.
this
That
episode.
final episode brought Game of Thrones rating to its all-time low.
Oh,
at
yeah, yeah, on
50%.
IMDb,
Like
yeah, I saw that.
40%. Yeah.
I used to really champion season 7. I was like, you know what? I just hope for a good ending. I just really
Yeah,
want everything to
no.
work out.
Season
Got
7,
to
I was
season
like-
8, halfway through when it was comedy hour after the after the long night episode. I lost it. I really something in me snapped.
It's like snap.
and I was like, this
can't.
is so tragic.
That was me last season.
Well,
I was
we
like,
were-
I can't.
Remember after
I
the
can't take it
first
seriously. Yeah.
the premiere this season's premiere,
Yeah.
we were kind of going into a debate about
Like, is it
the
getting
end of
better?
or no
what?
the end of season 7, the excursion beyond the wall and getting the whites.
Well, let's
Oh.
because remember, I had just watched season
You had just
7
watched it,
when
yeah.
season 8 was starting, so
Right.
it was all fresh in my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you guys got over your concerns 2 years ago when it first
Right.
came out.
Yeah.
For me, it was all fresh,
Right.
so I was
Yeah.
like seething. But I was gonna say a part that stuck out to me as strange was when Tyrion is talking to Jon in his cell, and Tyrion's like, "I loved her." Not to success.
Right,
I'm
we were
like,
talking
all
about this too.
Like,
Right,
okay,
right.
so
We were talking
Tyrion
about this
apparently was
too.
in love with Daenerys, confirming a lot of fan theories.
I never read that.
Oh, you didn't? Was that like super left field?
It was super left.
super
I had
left
read
field.
theories.
I
that
mean, I had
people-
theories like waiting back in my head,
maybe,
like
like,
that look
yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
season 7.
Yeah.
But like I was like, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
That's
I was like,
stupid,
no,
right?
they
No,
Well,
wouldn't
no,
we
do
no.
that. Yeah.
wondered why he was so loyal to her.
Yeah,
Right.
after all
and I
this
think
time.
that was supposed to be the reason.
That was supposed to be the reasoning, but the thing is, there was no setup
It
for
was
that.
no setup.
Right.
So
Not
there-
even for Jorah Mormont, you know? That's essentially Jorah's arc, and yet we felt that for
Yeah,
Jorah
yeah.
and not for Tyrion.
Well, Tyrion's too proud to be friend zoned. He'd rather not
Oh
say
my
anything at all.
gosh.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but so that was one thing. But the thing that was bringing me out of it, like a prop falling on stage during a play, was when Jon Snow was like, she was stressed out. Like
When he started making weird
he
excuses.
started making weird
Excuses.
excuses for Daenerys committing mass genocide.
Yeah. Right.
I was like, D&D, what you smoking right
Yeah,
now?
I
You
couldn't
think I'm
believe
supposed to believe
right.
this? Yeah.
I couldn't believe that was how John like reconciled it in his head.
Like I think
Yeah.
in maybe what's more realistic
Yeah.
is John just not saying anything. You know,
Right.
Don't,
Even that.
I
John
think
would.
so.
Yeah, he should just be crying or something.
You know-
Like don't say anything.
The only reason why, again, this goes back to bad writing. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it's bad
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
because the fact that he has to defend her is only there. You know, it's only there
For the
for the
twist.
twist
Right.
of him stabbing
You will
her afterwards.
and will always forever be my queen.
Main gouge to the
And
heart.
then that was like so bad. Oh my goodness.
I mean, the funny thing is, we all knew that was going to happen. I knew.
I called it. I
Yeah,
knew as
we
soon
all
as he
knew
kissed her,
that
I was
she
like,
was gonna die.
Even when
good.
it did happen, like I was like,
oh,
It was also a
I was like,
surprisingly
oh.
clean death.
Right.
Like there's no words, no struggling, barely
Yeah.
any blood.
No, yeah,
she just
yeah. No
she
writhing.
quickly dies.
yeah, her blood
It has to
drips
be
out of her
pretty.
mouth and
And
her
her
nose,
nose.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Why does her nose bleed?
well,
I guess like
I guess it was like an
if the blood
artery.
from
if
her
you sever
mouth,
like
yeah.
a main like the aorta, like that could happen. But
interesting.
Anyways,
and it
so
goes through to the stomach.
Well,
I will say
Anatomically, it could happen.
the moment before John walks into the throne room when she's looking at that iron throne and about to
Sit on it. Right.
I knew years ago there would be a scene like that. I didn't know which character it would be, but I knew there was going to be a scene with a character. I thought it would actually be Littlefinger.
oh,
Yeah, I thought Littlefinger was going to make it to Endgame. He should have. I think he will in the books. And they're going to like sit on the throne, but it doesn't actually happen. Or maybe it does happen and then it's going to be
Right.
taken away from them.
Yeah.
Like Jamie.
yeah.
Something like that.
Jamie
I
and the
just
Mad King.
assumed,
Yeah.
So Daenerys, that moment was very chill worthy for me because we waited years for this to happen. And it was beautifully shot. And it kind of shows like the culmination of all the trials and tribulations she's been through to
Right.
get to this point. I felt that way way back before I gave up on the show. In the early parts of season 7, when she first arrives on Dragonstone, and
That was
touches
great.
the soil,
great.
Yeah.
yeah.
I got chills, and that was the last chills I ever got in the show. Like after that,
Absolutely.
It's so weird
yeah,
'cause,
that was
like-
the last time I got chills in the show.
Yeah.
Her walking through Dragonstone and
With
seeing the
with
memories.
score, yeah.
Yeah.
The score was fantastic.
Yeah.
This is where my family was,
Yes.
from, and
It's her first time on Westerosi soil.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Or since being born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
So, what do we think about the institution of new government in Westeros? Do you think that was effectively established?
I
in the
think
moment,
it was.
I was like, okay, yeah, okay.
I bought it,
I
but
bought
it was.
it.
The more you think about it, the more haphazard,
rushed it feels.
like slapdash
yeah,
it feels.
the more slap.
It
in the
feels
moment,
like a
it worked.
kid
Right.
in 8th grade U.S. history class going like, "What did John Locke say about democracy?"
In conclusion,
In conclusion,
I know. In
I will
conclusion.
show.
let everybody rule. Let
Oh my
everyone
gosh.
have a vote.
Well, no, but when it was happening, I was like, okay, all right. But you're right. When I thought about it later, I was
Right.
like, that was really rushed.
Well, essentially, the same form of government still exists, except that people
The king is
okay-
elected, yeah.
okay the monarch, but it's
Yeah.
But
still
who okays
generally
the monarch
speaking-
is still the ruling class.
exactly.
That's what I mean. So
Right.
it's not really dramatic. It's still the lords and ladies
It's an
doing
oligarchy.
this. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
you're not going to wait. You're going to wait until the ruler dies before you do. It's not like there's limited
Right.
terms.
Right,
So
right,
the
right.
people who they're not going to have the same mentality. So if you think about it,
It's
how
essentially
effective
the
is it
same.
really? It's essentially the same.
It's just
here.
like an
Yeah.
upgrade on the wheel as opposed to a broken
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Right. And what does this say about Bran's character? Because did Bran presumably know all these things were going to transpire? Therefore,
didn't say
he
anything.
didn't stop Dany from committing mass genocide, even though he prevented the deaths of innocents at Winterfell?
Which he kind of, you know.
Wait, did he though?
Well, I mean, in like making sure that the Night King would cross paths with Arya.
You know he didn't do shit. He didn't
Maybe
do shit
not.
at Winterfell. Yeah.
I don't know. We will never know. We will
Yeah,
never
we
know
won't-
the
we won't
function
know.
of the Three-Eyed Raven.
I mean, we
Going
might
back
in the
to
book.
the term being their life,
Right.
the last Three-Eyed Raven lived for like hundreds
Hundreds
of
of
years.
years.
Oh, wow.
So
Brendan
he's like,
Rivers
Bran's
was
like,
old AF, dude.
so Bran's like, yeah, I'm gonna be king for like 100-something years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And that's just
So, like-
that's just the power from the Weirwood network, right? I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
I guess so. I mean, like, there is some poetic, poetic justice in that Bran the Broken is the successor, whereas the whole world of Westeros started with Bran the Builder.
It's so weird
So-
because like I feel like a lot of the plot points, a lot of things that happened in this episode, they all make sense if you don't think about it too hard.
I think about things too hard.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying they
Right.
they were just like they were trying to pull a fast one on everybody.
Absolutely.
I
mean-
I feel like we've like switched sides at this point. Like I'm just like here for the ride now. I'm not
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any life insurance on these mofos.
Look,
Like,
I still
yeah.
enjoyed it.
I still enjoyed it.
I enjoy it for that split second
Right.
when I'm watching it. And then
Yeah.
afterwards,
Yeah.
I just am the opposite of
That was me in the
enjoying it.
long night. In the moment, I
Yeah.
was like, and then
Oh, yeah.
afterwards, I was like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
after you left, Jen, we stayed there. We stayed at Walter's house after the viewing for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
And the guys, the crew were just talking. And I sat on the couch and I clutched a pillow. And I started thinking about Dany dying and John killing her. And then I got quiet. And then I started getting sad.
Yeah.
And then I became quieter. And I started clutching the pillow harder.
And then you knocked
my
out.
eyes started tearing up. And then I fell asleep. And then I woke up and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I was like, Dany died because John killed her.
You know,
like,
it's so strange. I felt
Yeah.
nothing.
yeah.
I love
I was,
Dany
like,
more than anything in the
sad.
world.
Yeah.
I have a Targaryen sticker on my car.
know.
I have 2 Dany
The
cosplays.
poster
I
on your
have posters
room.
all
Right.
over my walls, art,
I have the hat.
drawings. And the thing is, like she was my spirit animal for such a long time because
Yeah.
I identified with her arc so much. I had, I went through similar experiences that she did. And like when those things happened, it ultimately made me stronger. Not
yeah.
because it was like, oh, like I deserve to go through injustice or abuse, but because rising above that took immense personal strength that I saw in
Right.
Dany, So like she had a very special place in my heart. And after I saw her narrative breaking at the seams, something happened in me where I had to put aside her characters so that I could still be okay with watching the show. And that meant having no
Justifying.
investment in
Yeah.
her anymore.
Well, let me ask you this: if the same thing happens to her in the books, how are you going to feel?
Oh, well, I was going to
Well-
ask, have you read all the books?
No.
Rodney,
only
have
read
you
the
read all the
second
books?
two.
Okay, so as of A Dance with Dragons,
She's still in Maroon.
what is she still like? She's still in the books, or you could tell she's going crazy.
No, they have
No, she's
She's the same, right?
the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, but
it's-
there are like some of her POV stuff.
there are hints.
There
I
are
mean,
hints.
There
But
are hints.
Nothing big.
But
Nothing
it's
like
not-
her
it's
burning
not-
the masters in
It's
season
not
5.
super blatant.
Okay.
It's
No,
just-
it's nothing
it's
overt.
It's the hints.
Right
yeah.
now, it's just her talking about her dreams and
Yeah.
like the urges she gets.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like when it happens in
Right.
the books, it will be much more subtle. It will be much more elegantly constructed.
Right.
Yeah. It'll
I
be more
believe so,
complex
too.
and like less black and white.
And let's be clear, like everybody has dark and light qualities
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dany would be a Mary Sue if she did not have dark, chaotic instincts that go like, what if I burn everyone
Yeah.
and just get the fuck
Bloodthirsty.
over with
Yeah.
this, But she doesn't, and that's what
Yeah.
makes her good, And that's what makes her interesting. So the
Yeah.
fact that she like pivots on her entire worldview as like a leader or as a person, that needs to be earned so much so,
Right.
And like she's already. All of the betrayals and experiences that she's had in these latter half of the seasons, she's already experienced before, and yet she was never that person before. So I need to see something happen in the books that makes me buy that transition.
Yeah, something
I'm
needs to
down
happen.
to see her villain origin story, but I need to buy it.
You know, I
Right,
watched
right.
this video essay recently, the night before the last episode, and someone was just fucking shitting on Game of Thrones, saying like, it sucks now. I don't believe Dany would burn King's Landing to the ground.
Right.
He said, if we're going to go in this direction,
Yeah.
this is how it should have gone. He says, okay, if they were going to make her go cray-cray and start killing innocent people, he's like, I don't think she should have killed all of King's Landing.
Right.
Maybe she would have gone straight for Cersei and in a mad rage accidentally have maybe like killed a few civilians.
Isn't that what I
Right,
said
right.
last time?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe accidentally killed a few civilians and then like killing some guards. Like that's enough for us to be like, whoa there,
Dude,
Dany. Like
like,
that's not
slow
okay.
down.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's already enough for you to be like, she's going crazy.
Exactly.
So that's all you needed. You didn't need her to burn
Right.
King's Landing to the ground.
Exactly.
So he's saying if we were
That
to
was
go
an
that
exercise
way,
in excess.
yeah, if we were to go that way, this is how it should have gone. She should have. Okay, so as of the Marine arc, would you say that she failed? Probably not. It didn't go as successfully as we were hoping.
Right.
He's saying in order to justify this turn of events, she should have failed miserably.
In
with
Marine.
Yes.
Yes.
She should have liberated
Yes,
the slaves,
yes.
and then the slaves turn. The city erupts into chaos.
Right.
And the slaves like revolt or.
Which would have made sense because she's
Yeah.
not a ruler.
Exactly. So Mirene basically falls apart, and
Yeah.
then they turn on her, and she must escape in the night,
That
get away
makes
from Mirene.
sense.
Then that makes her realize, like, oh shit, I've been doing this wrong. Like, you can't just liberate people like that. You have to be a bit stricter, a little more iron-hearted. You need to enforce discipline. So I've been doing it wrong. So she shouldn't have burned all the master's ships like she did at the end of season 6 and left in such spectacular fashion.
Right.
She should already have been defeated. So that by the time she gets to Westeros and King's Landing, her strategy has shifted, and she's more stressed out, more unsure of herself, more likely to erupt into a chaotic episode.
That makes a lot more sense.
I realize. Walter was trying to say something like that in the
Last time?
last episode, and we were
Right.
shooting him down because he was trying to play devil's advocate, but we weren't having it.
Well, I
But
don't
now
think.
I think I know what he was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't think I got his point clearly.
He was trying to play devil's advocate and saying something like, based off of like her experiences in Meereen,
Right.
you know, you could say that this is the way to rule, and she's doing it in brute force by killing the King's Landing citizens. And we were like, nah. But after I watched that video essay, I'm like, I think that's what Walter was trying to say.
Got it.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Walter.
I mean,
But I
he's
think
gonna
it's
say
too-
yeah now, so
Yeah,
that
of
you
course.
can.
He's like, yeah, of course, that's what I meant.
Because you
yeah.
gave him an out just
Yeah.
now.
I mean that's definitely an interesting posit to explore.
Yeah.
But I think what they were trying to do, which they obviously failed her character, right? They failed
did.
her
Right,
character.
yeah.
And that's the saddest part.
Failed, yeah.
But they were really trying to play up the madness aspect, not necessarily a philosophy in ruling, right? So I think that.
That's just like disrespectful to people with actual mental illness.
Well, I
You know
mean,
what
Mad
mean?
Kid.
Like,
Kind of fucking is.
I mean, Varys' line about you flip a coin,
Right.
I mean, I think that's
Again,
that's just what I'm saying.
disrespectful to
That's
people
what
with
I'm
mental
saying.
illness. Like,
When,
Well, that's what they
when
were
the
trying to do.
Targaryen
she's
born the gods.
lucid.
Right.
Her
Yeah.
father had
And-
schizophrenic delusions.
But my
How-
point is
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that
Go ahead.
if we're talking about like hypotheticals and the writing and how they could have better set it up, that they were trying to go with the Mad Queen. That's
yeah.
what they were. That was their end game of the Mad Queen. That's George's end. He's come out already and said that pretty much this is how it ends. That's how is it going to be.
No, I don't doubt that.
Setting
I don't doubt that, yeah.
how they get from where she is in the book.
That's the task.
Is the task, which
Yes.
where they failed
Which
at.
is what
They
I
did.
agree with you,
Yeah.
Rodney. 100%.
No, yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never bought there's a part of me that was watching the Mad Queen happen, like the stuff's being foreshadowed and being seeded, and I wanted to see it. There was a part of me that wanted to see, because I wanted to see that spectacle. But when the snap happened, and I was like, that was that's not what I wanted. That wasn't satisfying. I don't even fucking believe it.
What kind of were you hoping for?
I don't know what I was hoping for, but because I mean, I very much try not to write in my head before I watch something.
Yeah, because you don't want to say like should have been like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, now that I think about it, I mean, like, again, when you bring up foreshadowing, I again think back to Rodney's quote, which is foreshadowing does not equal character
Isn't there a
development.
video on YouTube entitled that?
Really?
Yes, and it's got Daenerys' face on the cover.
Amazing.
I haven't watched it, but yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's another thing, is that her snap happens when she's miles high, firing on a city.
Yeah.
So we
On a
don't
civilian
get to
population.
see the snap, nor do we get to see the decisions she's made to become the person who would snap like that.
They essentially eliminated her as a POV character as well, because you didn't see her point of view while
You didn't get to see her at all.
then
30 minutes.
so
It was
they
like
drones firing on innocent
you
people.
pull back. Essentially, the camera pulls back from her, and essentially then she becomes essentially a
She's an NPC.
stereotypical evil, all that stuff, and that's
terrifying.
again
This entity,
a great
Yeah.
failure.
She becomes the
for-
dudes
to
in the
her
TIE
character.
fighters.
Which is so disappointing, because like if you want to show that turn, I'm all for it, but you really gotta like parse it out. Make her make bad decisions. Make her make bad realizations. See that turn in her. Have a moment where we see her and she makes a some kind of philosophical remark on how her worldview has changed.
Which I think they were trying to do in 7, but again, it kind of goes back to what Rodney said. The instances where it did happen, where it kind of foreshadowed it, they weren't accompanied by the thoughts in her mind.
Yeah.
By the thought process, and it was they were just events that were divorced of like emotion. Really, even
I just can't even like Hitler. Hitler at least in his head had some like very specific ideology.
Right.
We are committing eugenics in the name of
this, right?
In the name of this, the purity of our race is. He wasn't even trying to better the world. He was just like, our race is superior and we should be ruling.
There was a
In
there was a
Danny's
thought
head,
process.
it's because she is good and knows good and therefore mustn't act good. Hitler himself wasn't watching as these babies were, dying in gas chambers. He was just giving the order. Daenerys is watching children burn under the flames of her dragon and showing no remorse, I just don't buy that
She doesn't understand the suffering of the people.
I don't buy the Daenerys
I'll
from
get that,
season
right.
4 who sees. Remember when there's a father in Meereen who shows his child who's been burnt to a crisp at her
Right.
feet,
And
and she
has
looks like she's gonna
pity.
cry, and then she
Yeah.
chains up her dragons, her children, because of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that that's the same Daenerys.
No.
Like, don't
Yep.
try to tell me that's the same Daenerys.
Absolutely.
That literally makes zero sense.
That's a really excellent example.
zero
to
sense.
bring
Like.
up. Yeah.
That is literally like saying like 1 + 1 = 5. Like that
Yep.
literally makes no sense.
It really does.
we have a couple comments from the chat.
Yeah.
From Lint324, I wanted Tyrion to kill Daenerys.
Yeah, dude.
That would have been interesting.
Give him something interesting to
I
do over
thought
the
he
past
was-
several seasons.
I thought he might have, like when he pulled the
Tyrion
handpin
went
off.
out like a loser. Like he just ever since like season 5,
Right.
season 4.
And
like,
I have to
lost his
ask
nothing.
for
mojo.
There's nothing.
I have to ask
interesting
for
about him.
why. Like, what is the reason they did that?
Why keep him alive?
Well, not even that. I mean, just
I've
like
heard-
why take this character that we grew to love?
So clever.
And
so
then-
They
essential to the
euthanized
story.
him.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like in a vegetative state
Yeah,
for like
Right.
the rest of the
basically.
seasons.
and just
I've
completely
heard,
subvert everything. Right.
Yeah, so as far as regarding with Tyrion, I've actually heard a lot of theories as far as the storytelling choices is that essentially Tyrion had to make all these mistakes because Dany was too powerful. When she came across the Narrow Sea, she had 3
Right.
dragons, she had the Unsullied, she had the Dothraki, and then she had to be kind of basically taken down in power.
Just so the
a
fight
bunch
would be
of the-
even?
So the fight would be even.
Why couldn't that happen
And
in
then
the Long Night
and so
fight?
so the
That would have been much more epic.
yeah, essentially, yeah. But then also, but because of that,
Right.
the byproduct of that is that Tyrion became sort of the scapegoat of those sort of actions, those
But
choices.
why?
But he's
Why?
supposed to be
I think
smart.
also,
He
I think
should
because
What did that add to the story?
yeah, yeah, it definitely didn't. I mean, it's again, if we were to talk about like failures of the characters,
Right.
like they've really failed
Tyrion as well.
Tyrion as well,
Yeah.
and
sure.
they failed Bran as well too.
Yeah.
I think Jon in some ways is still
They also
okay.
kind of failed Arya. like, she ended at the Night's King.
Oh, yeah,
What did she accomplish after that?
Right. I know these past two episodes was
She
like,
literally.
all right.
I was thinking about it today. I was like, nothing happened to her.
Because they threw away her revenge.
They threw away her revenge thing with Cersei,
Right.
and then she gets hit on the head, and then she sails away to God knows where.
Yeah.
The Americas.
Cara tour.
Yeah.
If this was D&D,
China.
it would be
Arya,
Oriental
too.
Adventures. That's
She
where it would
never
go.
wears another face.
She's
We
gonna
never
run into
find out Cyril
she's gonna
Farrell.
run into a small mouse that talks and
Right.
has a little rapier.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All of the lore. Yeah. All of the lore has been thrown away.
Thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, what was the point? So they're
yeah.
telling me that the point of Arya's arc was to kill the Night King.
Right.
No.
I would
I
no.
don't buy it.
I mean,
I don't-
remember.
I think she has the tools. I don't think it's narratively satisfying.
Of course not. You know, and it's also not narratively satisfying that like the Night King never made it to King's Landing.
Right.
I think that's also why, like, people don't realize this is also why it's extremely unsatisfactory. It's because they had no more plot to go off of.
Nope.
Right.
I think, Rodney, when you were talking about the scouring of the Shire, you were like, I think George R. R. Martin is going to do what Tolkien did at the end of Lord of the Rings. There's going to be some kind of like a conflict at the end after the main conflict. I think the scouring was going to be Daenerys dying, personally. I think what happens with the dragons and King's Landing is in the books going to be mixed in with the Night King's conflict.
Yes.
It's all going to be one
I
conflict.
hope so.
Because then it'll be more satisfying.
Yeah,
And it won't be a
But
MacGuffin
I
anymore.
mean, I think I'm pretty sure the scouring of the Shire was the raising of King's Landing.
No, I think
Because I think essentially, if you look at that same sort of arc, the Night King is the ring, and then they're going back to King's Landing, and
so you
that's
think
the Shire.
Daenerys is going to burn King's Landing in the books?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, George R. R. Martin's already came out and said that basically
He says she turns into the Mad Queen.
these endings are pretty much the same. He said that already. He's already said these are his endings,
Well,
and that there's like a little
George,
bit difference
you're doing
here
it
and there,
wrong.
but these are his endings.
If that's his ending, then I don't think he knows what he's talking about, because that doesn't make sense. Like, and I will go and say, like, the author isn't always right. Like, if this is what he's setting up, if he really intends for Daenerys to burn King's Landing to the ground, he better start fixing things in his series,
right.
or
Well,
add 5 more books.
he is. That's kind of what everybody's conjecturing is going to happen. That he's not going to be able to finish this in 2 books. I mean,
No,
even
he said he thinks there might be another book.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 books coming.
Even his
God.
his
That's just crazy to me.
that last-
Like, honestly, it just sounds so crazy. It's like
when the episode aired, he posted a blog post on his website, and he's already said that he has 3,000 manuscript pages of story
Okay.
for Winds of Winter.
for the next
Oh,
for everything.
No. But he said, and I read this too. This is recent.
Right.
He said the 7th book hasn't even been started.
Well,
He's
you mean
still-
Winds of Winter?
No, I mean A Dream of Spring.
Dream of Spring.
Right.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not even finished with the 6th book.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, he tried to put
his
out
editor
Winds of
can't
Winter.
say anything to him. You know,
Yeah.
like you can even see it. Like I said, I have read all up to book 5, all the books,
Well,
and there are. It's just. It really
They get
is
bigger and
bogged
bigger.
It's like
down
dragging.
with like so many things, and there's so many plot lines that are in the books that are not in the show, and it's just like
Lady
he's
Stone King.
creating
Stoneheart.
more and
Stoneheart.
more obstacles for himself from a story standpoint.
Right.
And so I believe that he has 3,000 words because nobody, and at this point, like, what's his
3,000
editor going to
pages?
say to him,
think so,
right?
yeah. Just
Like his
3,000
editor,
words is
his
a lot.
editor
That's a lot.
can't say anything to him, right? They're just like, they just want him to get it done.
give us money.
Yeah, just
Right.
give us something. And
Yeah.
like, you know, he's not going to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of comments from the chat. I think these two go together. Quasi Word says, I think she snapped when the bell started ringing and Tyrion was right. I don't know what that means. But Lint324 says Daenerys equals Anakin Skywalker. Which is what people have been saying a lot.
Yeah,
right?
they've been calling her Danikin.
Danikin. Which I agree with because both of the snaps, both of the changes were
We're
like,
like,
what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know that
They're both
moment
like, what the shit?
when Anakin,
Yeah.
when Anakin cuts off Mace Windu's hand, and then Sidious goes and like, oh, y'all are Sith now, and he's like, I'm evil, and I'm like, oh my god, really? This is how we're
People
doing
don't know
this?
how to
I will
show
make a
turns.
distinction, though.
Yeah.
I think I will make a distinction. So,
Yeah.
like, Anakin turns because the thing that he cares most in
Right,
this
it's a
life
selfish, right thing.
well is Padme.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, even though he like thirsts for power, like
Right.
ultimately Padme is the reason why. And like when he is like, being controlled by the the darkness, he eventually is the one who kills Padme, and his realization of his own culpability in
Right.
killing the thing that he loves most in this world is what ultimately makes him believe he is evil.
Right.
You know?
But Padme doesn't die. Wait, he thinks he killed her.
He
Right?
thinks he killed her.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Been a while
like,
since I've seen this.
that's what like turns him, Like
even then, that makes
when
more
somebody
sense.
when somebody believes
Right.
that they are not capable of good anymore, they
Then
lean
they-
into their evil.
Right.
But I don't think
for
that's
Dany,
what Daenerys was set up as.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
No,
was
no,
not-
she wasn't.
Yeah.
She was set up. She believes herself to be the embodiment of good.
right.
Right.
So
exactly. And she's
no
still
boss should do that to her. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for a while already.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
we've been.
So I think we know what our feelings on this episode have been, and kind of the ending of the series in general.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that it's done with, where do we go on from here?
You gotta pick up the broken pieces of your soul and your life. And just
I
gotta
would love
move
for
on.
us to, and hopefully you guys are open to it. Like next week, we can talk about the series as a whole. Now that
I'm
it's
down for
completely
that.
done.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
The series
there's,
breakdown.
Give us.
as much as for me personally,
Right.
it's like as much as like the ending really just leaves a lot to be desired. There's still a lot to like appreciate as a whole, right? To
I
think,
think people liked Sansa's arc.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
her
just but
conclusion
like,
was like-
Sansa got a very sad.
That was
but
the
I mean,
best out of everyone's, yeah.
I've seen a lot of people just sort of say like, I mean,
It's the only one that paid off,
It's
really.
just
Yeah.
an amazing phenomena, right? The
Right.
series that lasted 10 years that basically everybody's talking about
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So I'd love for us to sort of explore sort of the bigger
The great.
aspects
Right.
of the series and the impact on society and storytelling. Like, I mean, one of the comments I heard today too is just that like it has made people really, really try to understand just storytelling.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like and just in that alone is like amazing.
Game of
because-
Thrones is. I
yeah,
attribute Game of Thrones
it's
to what made
really-
me a better writer, like a good writer, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it made me understand why I liked something so much, and I could figure out the building blocks. I'm like, this is why. This is what makes good writing. So hopefully,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like we take a week, kind of think, gather our thoughts,
Yeah.
kind of like take a step back and really kind of appreciate it from as a whole, right? And we could talk about that. But I think that's worth exploring.
I think so too. I think even just the fact that it's like kind of a hard genre piece too. The entire thing is kind of, it's super impressive that something that is genre has gotten this big.
Well, I mean, all geek subculture is now mainstream culture.
Right.
remember.
So yeah.
I
Right.
also, this is going to sound really random. Back in the 18th century, there were a lot of Christians who believed that Jesus was going to come on a certain appointed
Right.
day. And when
Yeah.
Jesus didn't come, it was called the Great Disappointment.
Yes.
Now, there were so many churches that branched out of this great disappointment saying, we just didn't interpret the Bible correctly.
Right, right.
Now we're going to start our own churches like the Mormon churches, and the Seventh-day Adventist churches. And so...
Why did you say it like that?
And then, so
Calvinists
with
and
the
and
Game of
Methodists
Thrones,
and yeah.
there was in 2019 the Great Disappointment. Thanks D&D and HBO, but there is a silver lining.
Yeah.
Out of this great disappointment, out of these ashes, will rise the phoenix of many new up-and-coming writers who know
Yeah.
never again to make that mistake.
Yes.
Never trust D&D
Oh,
again.
please,
Finish your
please let
fucking
it be
series
so. Maybe.
and conclude your goddamn character arcs.
Yes. Yes.
There is, right? There's a
Have
silver lining to this.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Have the integrity to follow
Respect your
through.
fans.
I honestly have no faith that any of that shit's
No,
gonna
I do.
happen.
I do. I believe in all of us.
I believe it's going to happen in very small scales. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's ever going to break through into Hollywood.
on this scale.
Yeah.
Well, I think I mean,
Ending things are hard.
Yeah,
Ending
it's very
things are hard.
difficult.
It's hard.
It's very difficult.
It's easy to start a story, hard to
Right.
end.
Well,
Yeah.
especially when something reaches legendary status, you get in your head as a writer, as an
For sure,
audience
for
member.
sure, for sure.
You start writing to the expectations of people rather than to the integrity of the story.
It's hard
Yeah.
not to when you have like stockholders and fucking like
People
when there's
making little toys and Funko
Yeah,
Pops,
there's
billions of
money.
dollars
billions of
at stake.
dollars. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what they have accomplished, I will take my hat off to them. You can get drunk now, D&D. Like
Right.
go home,
Tequila
Like,
with your
honestly,
wives.
go on an island.
You kind of fucking deserve it. So fuck.
Yeah, you worked
Yeah.
10, 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
I think like they started this project in like 2007 or something.
Right.
It's been a while.
Like
It's
man,
a long time.
that just keeping the monster like going, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
machine rolling.
You
It's
did your best.
yeah. There's I can't
like
have
your
Optimus.
best.
You're right, exactly.
But you
I
did
didn't
your
like your
best.
best, but you
So I gotta hats off
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
and they do have. I mean, the next Star Wars to look forward to.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
so we'll see how that goes. Oh shoot.
And the
So,
monkey cranks on the
yeah.
machine.
Oh, so like everybody, I don't know if everybody remembers, but we did have a live or dies pool.
Oh, Game
Hey.
of Thrones, who lives and who dies?
Yes.
Okay.
How are we doing this? How are we going to? Because we have a situation.
I know, right?
We have a situation in
Talk about
terms
this.
of
Can
who
we just
won.
talk about how I won?
So
Yeah.
as
So
far as
between
the four
between the
hosts
hosts, yeah. Talk about the hosts.
go,
first.
Jen won by like
Yeah.
by a very like a close margin. It was actually very close between all four of us.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, I thought Walter failed miserably. That's what you said.
Well, I thought that Walter failed miserably, but because apparently I counted it wrong.
so you failed miserably.
I failed miserably in counting Walter's failure
Gotcha.
miserably.
Wow. You know?
So, but Jen
Yeah,
won.
Jen definitely won.
Jen won. Yeah.
Yay.
Out of the four of us.
So out of the four of you, Jen won.
Yes. Congrats, Jen.
Thank
Congrats.
you. Yay.
Great.
Walter was still ultimate loser. So, no matter the count, my count or Rodney's, either one.
Wait, where does Rodney fall on that scale? Like,
I don't
what
know. Did
place
you have-
I was in the regular pool, and
Right.
I think I think I ended with like 23 points.
That's about it's the
Yeah.
same. Like our
Okay.
standard
Yeah.
deviation has not
Standard
shifted.
deviation.
So
So
yeah.
you're gonna.
So
name
it
the
wasn't
winners
bad,
of
but it wasn't. It was,
Well, that's the thing, Rodney. I mean, we have a tie. So
So we have a tie.
We have a tie for lead.
yes, in the regular.
So
pool.
first of all, thank everybody that joined. We had probably over 20 entrants, and just thank you so much. But we did have a tie. So I believe it was MJ Flores.
MJ Flores
was
if you're in
one,
chat right
and,
now.
yeah, he's in the chat. He and another guy, Derek something,
Spencer?
tied.
Wait, is it Derek Spencer? That's my friend.
Hold on, let me look at the Gmail.
Okay.
I just know everybody by their Gmails. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
it's the
gotcha.
Gmail handles. But they both tied with I think 32 correct.
Yeah, so many more than us.
Wow.
Nice. Well done.
So
Yeah, well done.
we didn't really bake in a tiebreaker. So we'll figure out some sort of tiebreaker, and I'll get in touch with you guys.
Yeah.
But more than likely, what we'll do is we'll either, like the Targaryens, we'll flip a coin and see
Who we
see
like better?
who like better, and then from there, we will get your prizes to you.
Yeah.
Yay! So again, thanks everybody for signing up and
Yeah.
picking
So
up
the
pool.
the email is Derek.
Yep.
Is that
Yep, that's my
okay?
friend, Derek.
So,
Oh,
all right,
cool.
cool.
Yay, good
Yeah.
job.
So the two of them,
Director of Immersive Theater. Go
yeah,
check out his
32
stuff.
correct.
Nice.
Derek Albert
Nice.
Spencer and MJ Flores.
Nice.
You both have 32. So I think what we'll do, I'll just go ahead and make a decision. We will flip a coin or do some sort of randomizer to actually who won.
Yeah.
But
Got
whoever is the second place or 1B, we will get them something as well.
Got it.
We'll get
Nice.
it.
Yeah, I
So,
think they both
all right,
deserve
yeah.
something.
I mean, 32. That's pretty
only fair.
impressive.
That's
Yeah.
That's
great.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we're going to decide. We're going to announce it next week then.
Yeah, and then second place, there was 30 correct. There was 3 people that got 30
Oh,
correct.
wow.
There was a K-Sit 001, Velvet Pearson, which is it's my English teacher, my novel writing
Oh,
class.
cool.
Yeah, a
K-Sit.
former head
Is that
of
you,
Long
Kenny?
Beach City College English department.
Very cool.
N.H. Murphy, I don't know, and then
Oh, I know them.
Third place with 28 correct was Jimmy D Name.
Hey, Jimmy. He's
Yeah.
from-
So, thanks everybody for playing, and we hope to do a lot more contests and giveaways in the future.
Cool. Well,
Yay!
oh gosh. Again, another kind of like very draining episode in terms
Yeah.
of speaking about Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
I was
But
even thinking
this
about
is
that.
worth it,
like,
you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
one last thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about that too. Is that I think part of the reason why we all feel this way is that all the other seasons, there was always that feeling like after you watch the episode, you're like, holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God, there was just like this sort of euphoria, right?
Right,
Even
yeah.
like,
You're
Absolutely.
right. Euphoria.
right?
yeah.
Whereas
Y'all
like,
got more of that Game of Thrones.
yeah, right,
I know.
right. And then whereas now it's like
There were
it-
those themes.
it-
those
That's,
yeah.
memes.
that's an actual meme.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
and whereas now it's like almost
Right.
every episode.
Oh my God.
It's been a bad
like
trip.
crack.
The feeling.
Right.
I was just talking
Crack.
feeling, right? Like
Right.
let alone like the logical thoughts of like writing,
withdrawal
all that stuff. We're just talking about the feeling, the
and,
feeling,
and that feeling
of like
looking
afterwards.
forward to the next episode,
Exactly.
the next
Yeah.
season.
Right?
You know?
It's like it's sort of this thing where I was just really glad it was done from a sort of like I was kind of weary.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think we all were. We just
Yeah,
wanted
you
to
know what I
end
mean?
on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. So I mean, not to end on that note, but like,
But for
you
it
know,
to
but I
conclude.
personally, like I said, I think that's why we owe it to the series as a whole. That next week we can talk about it
As a
with
phenomenon.
more like more, some separation, sort of like
Right.
process things, but then look at it as a whole. As
Right.
a storytelling, just like the characters, all these things, because it was still an amazing feat, and like we were talking a few weeks ago, Earl. It's like,
Right.
it's like we remember the dark ages where like we never saw anything like
Right.
this
Yeah. It's just
on TV
it's amazing
and
to
movie.
see genre on TV.
Yeah,
and
to see
celebrate
something
it
like
at
this
level.
on something like
Yeah,
on this scale
absolutely.
Yeah.
for that, so just like the feat of that alone is just like worth celebrating. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think next week we should do a series breakdown, and we'll talk about maybe our recommendations or like where we see what other series are out there to fill the void.
There will be no other series.
Aw.
I just gave up.
When is it going to have
I
my
don't watch
fantasy?
TV anymore.
Right?
It's all about movies
Nice.
because we know that they're going to end.
Maybe.
You know.
Well, I mean, for
Yeah.
2 hours.
They're more likely to end satisfyingly.
Satisfyingly, yeah.
American television has like failed me time and time again.
Oh gosh.
Seriously, it's all about K dramas.
And this
22 episodes. Let's go. That's
I
all
know.
you need.
Well, that's the thing.
And
There's definitely something to be said about like having only so much time to tell a story.
Yeah,
So-
that's how it should be.
I mean,
you're
Japanese
George.
dramas, English TV does that
it
too.
just becomes
so.
a taller order the longer the format becomes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I don't buy. Oh, okay. My producer's like, shut the fuck up, Kaitlyn. All right, just kidding. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this episode 11 of PanGeekery. Hit us up next week. We'll be here Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/PanGeekery. Thank you to our sponsors, Jimmy John's. Thank you to PwC, our location sponsors. And hit us up on the social networks, on YouTube. What was that?
Nikki.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Come on, Earl.
YouTube. I was getting there, man. Hit us up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the different socials. And thank you to our special guest, Nicki Sun, for joining us. Yeah. See you next week.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
PanGeekery Podcast, covering all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. Visit us online at www.pangeekery.com.